Hello everyone, this is the Elder Scrolls podcast, and this is called The New Companions. I am Jebro, your host, and today I have three awesome guests, and we are going to be talking about dungeons. You're waving. We're not on camera yet. I'll tell you when. Look. All right, there you go. She's waving. This is good. If you're listening on Spotify, you can actually go and watch the video, which will be in the description, obviously, as well. And you can actually see people waving and showing their hands and all these different things and bits and bobs. But yeah, we have three awesome guests with us today. We have KayPOW, and it is her first ever podcast, apparently. How are you doing today? Are you well? Are you good?
I'm good. I'm nervous. I'm a very outbursty person, so I'm like
outbursty.
Outbursty, I am. Like, don't cut people off. Don't scream. Don't shout. I'm sure I'll hang in there. I'll be fine.
You're doing fine so far. So what do you do? What do you do in the Elder Scrolls Online kind of universe? Like, where are you? Are you on Twitch or in YouTube? What do you play when you're playing the game?
I'm on Twitch. I'm part of the ESO stream team, so I do mostly ESO, but I do other games, mostly Bethesda games. Bit of a Bethesda fan. Most people know me for that. I'm mostly on Twitch. I am going to be starting doing some stuff on YouTube everywhere. If you just search KayPOWXD, I'm probably going to be on it. I mostly just scream and talk about tea a lot, and I don't really swear, and I'm very positive, and people always ask me, how do you stay happy? And I'm like, I'm easily amused.
I'm easily amused.
I am.
So you're kind of almost reactionary streamer as well, to a degree.
Yeah. Oh, I should also mention I'm a real life Khajiit.
Okay, there you go.
True story. I've seen her
probably mention that because there might be questions.
So twitch.tv/KayPOWXD.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I'll mostly be.
Awesome. Okay, we've got then Retired 8404. How are you doing today, sir? Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me.
No worries at all. So where can we find you? What do you do in Elder Scrolls Online and whatnot?
Let me tell you a little quick blurb about myself. My name is Retired 8404. I'm a retired Navy guy. I was a hospital corpsman. For those of you who don't know it, Google it. My channel is based on philanthropy, mentorship, and just the wisdom of an old dude. And my stream in my community is called The Sanitarium because life is crazy and we all have a little bit of something going on with us. Whether it's diagnosed or not, I want you to feel comfortable coming into my stream and enjoying yourself. So that's why I call it The Sanitarium. And again, you can find me at twitch.tv/retired8404.
It's also a good Metallica song as well.
Very much so.
It is. And also Xynode, he was on our last show and he's back for a second time in a row. I never got him on, and now it's 2 weeks in a row, like literally 2 weeks.
Almost didn't make it.
Almost. It was close.
Almost.
Well, Kay almost didn't make it. Well, that could be a story.
Almost.
In all fairness. But Xynode, what do you do? Because obviously people would have heard of you before, probably.
A lot of different bits and pieces.
Yep.
A lot of different bits and pieces. Gauging from build videos to dungeon guides to basically understanding the game as a whole. So on YouTube, I try to educate people as much as possible, whether they're a new player or whether they're extremely experienced. It doesn't matter which side of the spectrum you are.
Yeah.
Wherever you are, I can teach you something you possibly didn't even know, or help you fix or improve whatever it is you're doing. And that comes into the builds you use, not just mine, other people's as well. Whatever you're using, I can help you with something. All of the dungeons themselves. So I have loads of guides for that and basically explain the mechanics of the stuff that you're going to come into contact with. So I know that a lot of the content you can just blow through if you're really, really experienced, but it comes from understanding what you need to do first. And that's what I teach. So I teach you how to understand things. And then obviously on Patreon as well. That's a further thing where it's outside of the game, but it is kind of still inside of it, where I take people to one side and have kind of a one-to-one, I'm going to help you on your own kind of stuff. So I go from teaching everyone to teaching individuals. It's all about the game as a whole. So anything you need to know, except for crafting. and fashion.
Except for
I
crafting
like
and
it,
fashion.
but there's other people for that. So I can't do it.
Okay. There's other people that focus on the fashion. Are you just saying that your characters look awful? Is that what you're trying?
No, they look amazing.
Oh, they look amazing.
There's other people that can help you with that.
Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, so actually that was something I'm going to add. You're talking about blasting through dungeons. That's something that concerns me at times. Okay, so we're talking about dungeons today, everyone. We're not going to go too much into the Q3 launch of Moongrave Fane and Lair of Masterlock? Is that what they're called? The new dungeons that are coming up, or have I got that completely
I
wrong?
can't ever pronounce it correctly, so
any of these words.
sure, let's go with that.
Either.
Okay, well that sounds right. Scalebreaker, because people have had access to those on the PCS, I'm assuming. I know basic stuff about them, but I haven't gone into them that much. I don't tend to do that because I like to give my reactions on stream. I know everyone's different and we have testing and everything else, and that's fine. And testing is absolutely awesome. PTS is great, but we're not going to be talking about those too much. We might reference them, but otherwise, we're not going to too much. One of the reasons I'm talking about dungeons is because it is the dungeon DLC which is coming up, and it's in the same area. Dungeons are awesome. Dungeons are probably where I spend a lot of my time, I guess. And I think you guys, that's one of the reasons why I've got you guys on as well. But what I wanted to know, first of all, MMOs are synonymous with dungeons. It's open world content. You go through, you quest, you do events, and then there's dungeons. And one of the first things you're thinking is, what level do I have to get to queue for dungeons and maybe PvP, so I can mix it up while I'm going through story and just to mix it up a bit during the whole thing. What do you guys think? I'm gonna start with Kay. Is the most unique, and you don't have to pick out loads of different stuff, but what makes ESO dungeons specifically unique? Like, what's the unique thing you feel that ESO brings to dungeons that maybe other games don't? Or maybe it doesn't, but it just does one thing specifically really well that you think other MMOs aren't doing.
Ooh.
It's a very open question, that one.
I'd love to say something technical and really that makes me seem really cool. But I think the main thing that I notice more than anything is the reactions of the community when you're playing with people. So I came from World of Warcraft, actually. I started with World of Warcraft and then I came over during beta. So the difference between doing pugs on there to ESO is incredibly different. People are so cool. They'll go, do you need food? Are you okay? Are you ready to go? And yeah, you get the odd badge group, but I've noticed a huge difference in ESO fam. It's a much more positive experience.
Did you just make a hashtag with your fingers?
Hashtag ESO fam.
Is that what that is? I never knew that. Oh god, I am a
hashtag ESO fam.
Okay.
So I really love the fact that when you're a healer, people will actually say thank you for getting you up, or if you're a DPS, you pick someone up, they'll be like, thanks for the res, and they'll type in chat, do you know what you're doing with this boss? No, do you need some help? That didn't really happen on WoW for me. It was just, you died, you get kicked or something, or you died, you're an idiot. On ESO, people make guides and they'll say, go to Xynode's channel and look at his guides and stuff like that. And you go, oh, cool, I'll look this up. And there's add-ons for it. And yeah, I would mostly say the experience itself. I can't think of any other technical things, but it's a much more happy place to be. No offense to my baby WoW. I still love WoW, but ESO is my main now.
Yeah. No, that's okay. That's absolutely perfect. So you're talking about community there. You're talking about community,
I love ESO fam.
Yeah, and actually, you're right. They've had the same experience. I think many people in our community here have as well. They've come from Guild Wars 2 or other games as well. I don't understand the slang. That's not slang. That's flipping movements with fingers. That's not slang. I don't know what slang is. I'm from London, mate. But yeah, no, I don't know fancy words. I live in America as well now, so everything's mixed. It's weird. I have to get American slang, and it's very, very odd. Okay, so if you want to know what Kay did, you have to go and watch the video on YouTube or Twitch. So
It's worth it.
it
You're
is
gonna
worth
love it.
It's well worth it. Retired. What do you think the most unique thing for you, or just ESO in general, is for dungeons that you think they really do? They either do really well compared to other games, or is new and different that other games don't do?
Well, I'm coming with a background also from WoW and from Final Fantasy 14. There are some pluses and minuses that this game does that others that do well. When I first came to this game, I was like, hey, I'm new. I don't know what I'm doing. This is my first dungeon. Was I a healer? I don't know what the hell I was doing. But whatever it was, and like she said, the community was what really helped me along. Was like, dude, first time here. Hey, I'm doing the quest. People will stop. For the most part, you always have your 10% of asshats that are going to want to ruin it for you and just say, I just want to get it done. But most of the community, about 90% or so, will actually stop and help you. And issues, I know Xynode can talk about this more. Xynode put out a mod through Minion. I'm sure he'll talk about it more, but that'll help out people with the dungeon. There are so many awesome things about these dungeons. The mechanics are pretty decent. The unfortunate part is the difference between the normal dungeons and the veteran dungeons seems to be a huge gap. The plus is also a plus side. You've got a maxed out character can help run with a level 10 character.
Yeah.
So that's a plus, and then you can help each other out. So I mean, there's just so many pluses and minuses with each of it. Grouping with your buddies. The mechanics, learning them. If you learn the mechanics on the normal dungeon, even though they don't really count because you can live through some of the hits, if you learn them when you do the vet dungeons, you'll have an idea of what's coming and what does not stand in, and the whole standing and stupid and some of the standing and stupid. That, oh my god, as a healer, you lose your freaking mind. But there are some things even through. I learned it from watching Ninja one time. He's like, hey, turn on combat colors, turn on custom colors. I'm like, what? People ask me all the time, what mod is that? I said, no, that's in the game. Here's how you do it. Blah blah blah, step by step. And I'm like, oh my god. So helping each other out. Oh, and by the way, if people are standing and stupid, don't assume that they're standing and stupid because they're idiots. They may very well be colorblind. I had an issue with that one time. And I felt like a total jackass for yelling at the guy. He was colorblind, so I showed him the custom colors, and he got the color that worked for him, and it worked out. But yeah, we working together, working as a team. The progression of the dungeons is pretty decent, but again, I'm sure we'll talk about this in the next step. Is
absolutely
the difference, the gap between normal and vet is huge.
That's one thing we are going to talk about a little bit in depth, indeed. But yeah, thank you very much, Retired. Awesome. And Xynode. Unique thing for dungeons in the ESO.
On a couple of points that Retired brought up there about the colors specifically. There's a very good friend of mine that I've known for a really long time. We both played MMOs for the best part of almost 20 years. And something that he struggled with Elder Scrolls to start with was the red color. Because that was something that was, a long time ago, the only thing that you could see. Then they introduced the color changing feature in the base game, and that made a massive difference to him. He basically dumped the game when he first started because he couldn't see a bloody thing. Then, when that came in, he could change it to anything he wanted, and then since then, he's constantly played it because now everything's visible. So that is a very valid point. There is that to be considered when people are standing stupid. Sometimes they're just being idiots. Other times, maybe they can't see it, and they just need to change that option. So that's awesome for a start. The two difficulty gauges between normal and vet, I will agree that is something that possibly needs to be addressed because, I mean, on normal, anyone can do it, and that's fine. That's content done. Be happy. Veteran, I mean, it is veteran. It does say that it's going to be more difficult, so you would expect it to be, but there is a big gap between the two. There's not any middle ground for that. It's literally, you're going to smash it, and you're going to get smashed. I mean, that does work out in one respect, but then I can understand how that can be frustrating to literally go from one very, very easy transition straight into ultra hard. But again, I mean, the dungeons themselves, as a rule, the most thing that I think is unique about Elder Scrolls Online, playing multiple other MMOs in the past, is the fact that you can join, excluding the group finder because it is capped to a certain extent, you can join any group at any level. And it doesn't matter if you're a level 10 versus a level 50 and you're both in the same dungeon, you both get XP, you both get loot, you can both play together, and no one's penalized in any way, shape, or form for it. Plus, they have a scaling system for lower levels as well, which means you can kind of catch up to people that are much, much more powerful than you.
Yep.
Sure, you're not going to hit the same numbers, or you're not going to necessarily heal as much and all the rest of it, but your survivability is up because your base stats are so high that you've got that kind of, well, you would be a squishy, but here's some more health. So now you can stay alive more often, you don't feel like you're being carried. So they have that kind of system in play for that. And then when it comes to the vet stuff, sure, you do have to be level 50 plus, but you can join at any level. It's just up to you whether you're brave enough or experienced enough to try it out. So I think the ability to play with anyone you like, regardless of level, is a big, big plus towards dungeons, rather than having that 5 above and 5 below level cap, which used to be a thing in Elder Scrolls and no longer has been ever since One Tamriel. So I think that's the main thing that makes it unique for me, is the fact that you can play with whoever you want.
Okay. Yeah, you go. That's true. Okay, so I think unique-wise, I'm just going to remark on myself. I think it's a mixture of everything. As I know that's a bit of a cop-out. A mixture of everything you guys said. Congratulations. Next thing. No, but you know, there is some uniqueness, and really, I guess in a way I'm trying to pull that out in the next couple of topics that we're actually going to talk about as well, because there are some very unique things. Like, for example, the next part we're going to kind of move on to is the fact that ESO is a 4-person dungeon. It's not 5, it's not 6, which is, you know, a lot of MMOs have 5 or 6 as well. And then you're focused down to a healer and a tank. Well, it depends if you're doing normal or vet, of course. It depends if you're a new player, if you're a vet or whatever. You could just go in 4 DPS of your own heals. I mean, you know, it's perfectly doable on, you know, normal and some vets, I would say, as long as you've got some of the skills you need to have things like taunt and everything else, you know. And it just really depends on what you're doing and who you're with. But, you know, it is a tank, a healer, and 2 damage dealers. That's pretty much exactly what you should. That's how you're queuing. That's LFG. LFG is looking for group in case you're brand new to MMOs. You basically, you know, put yourself in as a solo player. You queue up, and it gives you 3 other players matched to within, you know, whether or not it's not your skill level, it's more your level and your actual, you know, anything else. And then you pop into that dungeon, you do the thing, and then you come out and you can go in again. You're
saying it wrong.
What am I saying it wrong?
It's Lufaka.
Luvga.
Luvga.
Lufaka.
Okay, I'll correct myself. Luvga. Luvga. Okay, I don't know. It's shorter. I don't know. I don't know. It sounds good. I'll go with that. All right, Luvga. No, I don't know. I can't. It's gonna. The whole podcast is. I can't think now. My mind's gone. So 4-person dungeon parties. Okay. Xynode, I'm gonna start with you. Good or bad? Do you like it? Could it be more?
I do for the most part. But it would be interesting to see some larger groups. I know that there's a lot of skills in the game that have always been capped to 6 people, and have now potentially gone out to 12. The reason they've gone out to 12 is to make it more accessible to trial groups. Yeah. Which is 12 people.
What was the 6? What was the 6 person?
The 6 in the first place doesn't make any sense. I mean, obviously it may be scaled down so that PvP, small groups and all the rest of it, but then PvP you can have groups as big as 24. So I think the 6th person was down to as small a group as possible, yet the group size was 4. So we've got 2 potential spaces here that doesn't make any sense. So I think maybe that their initial intention was 6-man dungeons, but they ended up going down to 4 because they thought it wasn't necessary. I would like to see 6-man content, because traditionally, as far as MMOs are concerned, 6 is kind of that magic number, especially if you go back as far as 1999 to possibly around 2007. That kind of gap between the two was kind of the two support roles, if you like, so tank and healer, and then like 4 DPS. Yeah. That was quite fun, or you could alter that if you wanted to. This one doesn't necessarily need it, but it would be interesting to see if they did branch into that for maybe sort of mid content. So not 4, not 12, just something in the middle. Since a lot of the skills already cover that amount of people anyway, it would be quite cool to see. But I think that was based on the basic version of a traditional dungeon setup. And then since beta and onwards, there were some drastic changes, which are for the better, obviously, but I think their roadmap or their plans somewhat changed in a very, very early stages, and that was why they initially started with 6 and not 4. That's my
Interesting.
perception of it anyway. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like.
No, I mean maybe that's the case. If that was 6, I mean, like you said, it could have been something to do with Cyrodiil as
Quite
well.
possibly, yeah.
And maybe it was something PvP. Maybe that was going to be 6v6v6, so maybe they couldn't kind of do that instant content with like 6 people. I mean, dungeons can get quite small in areas. Imagine 6 people in that. It would be maybe there was something like that as well. Like as they're designing it, they have this idea of having 6 people, but it's just not doable with the area they have and effects that kind of popping off and all the different things that are happening. I mean,
Yeah, and the other side of it
I
could be
didn't know.
trials. The other side of it could be trials, because the first 3 trials that we had in the game were 3 Craglorn trials, which is Sanctum, Arthurian Archive, and Helra. And there are situations and opportunities where you do split up.
Mhm.
Now, Arthurian Archive is in groups of 4, so that one still doesn't make much sense. But Sanctum, there's a section where you can split up into 2 groups, and also in Helra, there's a section where you split up into 2 groups. So they may have considered that to start with also. So it's hit or miss as to what their initial intent was. But it would be nice to see something in the middle, maybe some bigger content, not quite a dungeon, not quite a trial, but a few more people. Because there's lots of situations where you've got too many people for a dungeon, or not enough people for a trial. It happens all the time. Maybe you got like 7 people,
and then it's like world
what are you gonna
bosses
do?
and stuff, and it's like
Yeah,
you don't
exactly.
really need to do that. And then just like sky shards, and it's like, well, I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
and it's like
exactly.
the events. Well, I probably don't want to do that either. And it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. There isn't. I do feel like there is a gap there somewhere. You're right. Maybe
Yeah,
that's
it'd be
another
nice to have some
podcast.
sort of mid-area content. Like, you bring some arenas in, like we've got now, but instead of making them 4 like a dungeon, because it does feel like a dungeon when there's just 4 of you, maybe something that's a little bit on the challenging side for 6 people specifically. Then you can utilize those 6-man buffs and all the rest of it.
There you go.
Hmm.
Okay. Retired.
Okay. I wrote some notes here, and I hope I can put them into a nice, intelligent thought. One thing I've noticed this game compared to other games is that our stats are lower than some other games. Some other games, your tanks have 100,000+ hit points, and when you're doing damage, you're doing hundreds of thousands for a crit and all of these things. Well, with the 4-person dungeon with only 2 DPS, with the amount of DPS that they can put out, with the amount of mobs that they have in there, it's pretty legit. If you had larger amounts of people,
Yeah.
you're going to start messing with the stats a little bit, and if you have larger groups, say a 6-person content, you're going to have more mobs. So are you going to increase the amount of damage we can do? Probably not, because you're going to make that person more stronger in a 4-person dungeon.
Yeah.
Or just overall in overland. So when that happens, we've got some abilities to CC some crowd control issues, but it's always very short term. It's like 4 to 6 seconds or whatever. So you better burn that stuff down quick. Otherwise, you're going to have a bunch of dudes going crazy. Where in other games, you have crowd controls where you can mesmerize things, where you can stun things, whatever, for not stun, but mesmerize or root them for 15, 20, 30 seconds. Keep them still. We don't really have that in this
You
game.
mean like sheeping and sleeping and stuff like that?
Sheeping and sleeping,
Squirreling.
and then like Dark Ages of Camelot, you can mesmerize an entire slew of things with a sorcerer. I mean, so we don't have those kind of skills, or at least that length of time.
Is that a sign of the times, though? I feel like MMOs they've tried to get a little bit more action. I mean, ESO is more action orientated thing, right? I mean, it's like
I think you're right. If you look at the directories of all of this going on in Twitch and all of the things that have the most viewers on it, it's very seldom is it the stuff like Command and Conquer where it's slow play. When you have things that's fast action, fast play, that's what people want to see. Is they want to see all this, there's a lot of action, a lot of stuff going wrong, or a lot of stuff going right, and they want to see the rewards at the end. So there's that. Let's see, short term.
I mean, oh god, we're getting into some dangerous territory back in my day stuff. I mean, you're right. I mean, I'm exact. The thing is now and a little bit of soapbox moment, I guess, is that it is more of that gratification thing. More, I mean, Fortnite is a good example. Instant gratification, quick content, so you can get that hit. Of the good feels, and you can get that loot, and you can.
That was my knee. Did you hear that? That was my knee cracking.
This is a video you guys need to watch because Kay's just entertaining just over there.
I don't know what she's doing over there, but
she's hurting herself apparently.
I just moved.
But so there is that, you know, and it's about also, you know, technology and being and engines and being able to produce this kind of content where, you know, it feels like you can actually just be quicker, be faster, do more stuff, do more damage, and the capabilities of that, whereas back in the day probably couldn't do that. Like tab targeting was all we could do, you know. World of Warcraft,
Right.
you take tab targeting away, the game's already quicker. You're not having to press a button to target something, you can just go to it or look at the direction, then do it. So you're already taking a button out.
Can I add a caveat to that real quick?
Yeah.
The tab targeting.
I mean, you can
Coming
tab
from other
target.
games, and I was the healer when I first came in this game, and I was sitting there focusing on other games. I'll focus on your health bars, and I'm not really paying attention to what the hell is going on over here because I'm worried about I'm playing whack-a-mole with your health. But in this game, the way they do things, everything is AOE, and it's easier to pay attention to the actual gameplay, the standing in the poo, in the moving around all the time. I say standing in poo to make it PG because it's not for your benefit. And things are a little bit easier in that aspect. You pay less attention to the bars other than, oh crap, someone's going to die.
Yeah.
And pay more attention to the gameplay itself. So I do appreciate the way that they do things here on that aspect. And then tanking, I'm sorry, tanks. It would be nice if they had an AoE taunt, but they don't. I'm kind of glad they don't, but
Nope.
That's another subject as well. All right, let's go to over to
is
Kay
it?
as well. But like, is there anything you wanted to add to that, Retired, or?
no, that's it. Thank you. I just wanted to add that how much more I like this.
I might bring that up again in a minute. Kay, 4-person dungeons. Do you like them? Could it be more? Could it be less? Is you fine with 4-person? Is it all right? Is it good?
I felt what Xynode said in my soul. There's so many times that I have too many people for dungeons, but not enough for a trial. I've barely done any trials because it's a struggle to find 12 people that aren't randoms. And when you're streaming, you don't really want randoms in the group in case anything kicks off because you never know. So you kind of want to showcase your community and like show that your guild did it and it's really cool and you want to feel good about it. And I've done it a couple of times, but if I don't organize it beforehand, then and then you've got too many people for dungeon, you're swapping them out. So I really felt that in my soul. But also, and I know that they're doing changes for this, is that I'm a healer main, and sometimes people completely invalidate my role. And I'm like, but I want to have fun. I love healing. I don't want to be replaced by DPS. And they're like, well, can you not play DPS? I'm like, no, or DD, because it's DPS and WoW and DD here. So I'm like, oh, I keep saying DPS. But I love healing, and maybe if there was more people, there'd be more point of having a healer because you'd have the other people doing the damage, and then you'd need a healer more because there's more people that need healing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want the healer thing to die, and I'm glad that they're already working towards fixing that with some of the changes coming that I know people are freaking out about, but calm down.
My
They know what they're doing.
orbs! My orbs! Oh my god!
I know,
Yeah.
there's so many changes. As a healer main, I feel you. Oh gosh, I want healers to be important again. And maybe with the 4 group, sometimes it's not. I don't know. It's just,
There's a
but
feeling
yeah, I
sometimes.
feel like it'd be cool to have in the middle content.
Yeah.
So maybe a bigger dungeon that you needed 6 people for, but it's not quite a trial. That would be really cool. I would really like that. That would be very nice because sometimes Sky Shard hunts just don't cut it. And then you don't have enough as trial. I like healing.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing about ESO in the 4-man content is the healer is, and I've learned in ESO as well, is the healer is definitely not just the healer. I mean, they support, they buff, depending on
debuff.
their depending on their gear. I mean, I was running in dungeons and trials recently Infals, which Infal you get heavy attack, although it can be like in between. It's like it doesn't even need to be a heavy attack. It can be like a medium attack. You can put vulnerability on the boss, you know, and it's like, you know, got this cool little effect. It's like, okay, I'm a support. I always feel like being a healer in ESO is a support, buffer, healer, kind of a mixture of different roles. And then it's like the orb as well. And someone said actually a good point. You know, the orbs kind of don't get used that much as well. So I kind of agree with quite a lot of the changes. I actually like them. And also metas and like things like that. I like change. I like if they nerf one of my heals, fuck yeah. Sorry. That's my.
Mix
I
it
say
up.
not to swear, and I swore first.
F-bomb number one.
But like that's how I feel about it. It's like, you know, I want to be challenged. I want my build to change. I want
my orbs. I'm out.
I want all these things to change, and you know that's just the kind of player I am, and you know I'm sure other people feel the same. But then people fear change as well, and there's bound to be, you know, that point. And for us as streamers, it's good when that kind of thing happens. You know, when things change up, because we can either moan about it or we can go with it and change it. And it's content either way, right? I mean, I fucking hate saying
Adapt.
content.
That's what the whole point of an MMO is: adapt.
Exactly. But like Kay said as well, if you've been reeling over the patch notes and like kind of a lot of people did instantly, and then you went over to Twitter and it was the opposite, and it was all peace, love, and everything else. You can be in between, and you can have some concerns and worries, but you can also think, you know what, it hasn't come out yet, and we don't know what's going on.
Correct.
I like to be in the middle of that kind of thing. I don't like to be happy and joyful. I just need to be, you know, knowledgeable. And anyway, so either or, like, I kind of like the ideas that you had. So there's Xynode who's saying maybe we could have some content where it's a little bit more than 4-person, because I kind of, it's, you know, I think we all feel that as well. I think Retired maybe could probably agree that, you know, sometimes you've got more than 4 people, and you'd rather than, it's that difficulty of picking some other people to be like, you know, okay, can we switch in, switch out? And I know this issue is more for streamers, but if you've only got 2 or 3 friends online at the same time, you know, it's a different issue.
It's rough. It's rough.
Yeah. I mean, how do you pick? Like, sometimes people are going to feel left out. So streamers, we have our own issues. But then as general players, it's like, I wonder what chat thinks. And that's what I would like to, if maybe people in chat could say how they feel about, you know, 4-person dungeons, I guess. I haven't said the F word, so I'm worried. See, this is the thing. I say it all the time. I do try to keep it a little bit clean if I can possibly do that for the podcast, but I kind of wrecked that already. Okay, so
I got you covered, Jebro. Frickin'. There you go.
Frickin', there you go. That's good. Okay.
I say fluff.
Fluff is actually good. That's actually a good replacement. That's true. Very true statement. Normal and vet dungeons. People have mentioned these things. Kind of look like you're pulling your t-shirt or something. Normal and vet dungeons. How do you feel about it? I mean, you guys have kind of mentioned this very, very briefly. I'm going to start with Retired this time. And it's more of a question of like, is it needed? Like, should we have normal and vet dungeons? Like, I'm not trying to give you an opinion here. It's a completely open question. You can just be, you know, as harsh about it as you want. You don't want them. You like them. You think they're great. You want them something to be in between. We are going to talk about these different things as we go down the list of topics I have. But do you think that it's good that we have a difference between different dungeon modes?
Definitely.
Difficulties. Sorry.
Definitely. Because the way that the CP system is now, and I know they haven't made changes for like
what's
a couple
CP,
expansions.
Retired? What's CP? Just in case people don't know.
CP is champion points. You know, after level 50, you know, you continue to level, but you're not leveling past level 50. You're getting points in 3 different trees to help improve your character, be it more damage, more resistance, more whatever. So you'll see it when you play the game. It's up there as kind of a constellation. You'll know once you play it. But anyway, being that 810 CP is the max at this point, which makes these characters quite powerful, you know, and then these changes that are coming out from PTS, people are freaking out. And I understand you're freaking out because you're Uber, you're pulling 90k DPS and you're the big D on the block. I get it. But I get it. You know, you've got the ginormous, you won the internet, your EP is huge. I get it. But they're bringing it back down. They're making AoE damage, as the way I read it. They're normalizing AoE damage, not just they're screwed up my character because they read their class. They're screwed up my character. But what you don't realize if you read the entire patch notes, and this is all again like they said before, proposed changes. They're making all AoE damage normalized. They're kind of bringing it down a little bit because people are getting stupid numbers.
Yeah,
and I get it. You don't need 90k DPS to do a trial. I mean, you don't.
Nope.
35, 40k. I mean, that's, and if you know the mechanics, you'll be fine.
I'd say even lower. God damn it.
Or even lower.
Bring it lower.
But
Yeah.
I digress.
Make it more challenging.
Going back to this, they do have the 3 different tiers of dungeons right now. As you see when you're doing your Undaunted pledges, you know, for lack of terms, you've got your easy, your middle, and then your DLC dungeons. The DLC dungeons tend to be pretty stupid hard on vet mode. The normal mode is still difficult. I like the way that they've done that for the normal mode and the vet modes for the DLC dungeons, because there is a distinct difference. And for those who are 810, that's an extreme challenge. And that's why you can't access those DLC dungeons. So what is it, CP 300? Or some number there. I think they need another tier of some sort to make it challenging for the 810 players, because the 810 players can practically solo vet dungeons like Fungal Grotto 1, 2. Unless there's a 2-person mechanic of some sort in there, you can solo it. Because you can heal. Because we do vet Maelstrom Arena. If you can do vet Maelstrom Arena, learning how to bob and weave and learning how to deal with your sustain, then by all means, you can do a dungeon. So I think there needs to be another tier. There needs to be something in there that makes it a little more challenging.
So you're actually saying normal vet is good, and then DLC, which is almost there is an extra difficulty. I think with that, I think we felt it really.
Difference.
Wolf Hunter was one of the ones where I found that the next. It
Wolf
felt
Hunter,
like that.
Frost Vault, all those.
Yeah, as soon as for me personally as a newer player, I guess like a year and a half ago, it was definitely Wolf Hunter where DLC where I was like, okay, this is, you know, starting to ramp up a bit now, and especially because I was gearing as well, you know, I was CP 160 maybe, and it was starting to get a bit more difficult, and I was like, okay. So you're saying an addition is an extra thing on top?
Well, there's a problem with the normal dungeons and the vet dungeons, and the problem is, especially in the March of Sacrifices, I forgot which boss it is, but it's the one with the tree lady.
Yeah.
Right. There's a mechanic there.
One of the first ones.
There's a mechanic there that's important. You know, you got to kill the little tree dudes. I don't know the names of these things because my memory sucks.
Is it the one shot?
Yeah, you have to synergize with the color that they give you, and then you got to stand in the different colors that is there. When she goes and it blows up.
Yes.
Oh,
You better stand in that color.
Yeah.
You don't, you die.
Yeah.
But on normal mode, you can just burn her down, no problem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that putting, and then the next one with the Enurup, I don't think that putting the time frame in there, like, you know, okay, you do so much damage and then it disappears, come back. The time frame thing, the time lapse thing, I don't like that. I freaking hate that. I want mechanics, not I gotta wait 20 seconds because I got him down to 25% for him to respawn. Annoying as hell.
Yeah.
Give me mechanics that are going to be relevant, and learn those mechanics on normal. So when you do them on vet, you know to kill these guys, synergize, stand in the right color. Because you often don't do that on normal mode. You just burn through it. And you're missing out on so many aspects of the game that can make things so much more fun.
And you can burn through some of that stuff on vet as well. I mean, the mechanic you mentioned,
again,
I don't actually know.
90k DPS, big D on the block. I'm going to burn through it.
I've done that dungeon many times, and I'm just like, I don't know what's going on, guys, but I'm just going to heal through it because I'm a healer. I'm a healer as well. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting punished enough for this thing right now to actually need to know the mechanics. And I feel bad saying that. I actually feel really bad saying that, but at the same time,
They put them in there for a reason. Let's learn them.
yeah, no, I'm all up for that. I think that is actually quite telling as well, because then if I'm at the point where, and I'm a massive fan of mechanics, I actually think that ESO is one of the places, trials wise and dungeon wise, where the mechanics are actually quite good. I think mechanics in all MMOs have kind of waned since the days of, I think mechanically one of the best MMOs dungeon and raid wise was actually Rift. Something I really was just ridiculous level of mechanics, was so good. And I noticed ever since then that the case has been, it's been less mechanics and more burn, but also, yeah, like power, like empowering the characters and making sure they don't, you know, get wrecked as quickly. But ESO kind of is a little bit more old school in that, because there are some mechanics which can just screw you over completely, and Sunspire is one of those trials, which is definitely the case, which is great. Okay, cool. I like that. That's good. I mean, you know, another kind of difficulty as well, and we are actually going to go into that kind of question next anyway, so we can come back to you more about that. Kay, how do you feel about? Oh, wait a minute. If we've not gone to let's go to Kay. We'll go to Xynode at the end. Xynode's like yes. I don't know. How do you feel about normal and vet dungeons? Is it good?
I've been playing ESO since the beta, but I only came over to PC last year, so I've been playing tomato sauce ketchup and
Tomato sauce ketchup.
So I'm actually only about CP 650 at the moment.
Yeah.
So I've not really got to the point where I can just burn through absolutely everything. I can do quite well with healing, but I can't out heal the mechanics as such.
Yeah.
So well, most of the time I can't anyway. And we've recently my guild, which is the Insanity Party.
Wow,
we
you are maximum on puns today, and it's just real things. Oh, okay. Again,
so
watch the video.
We only just done veteran Debts Malatar. There's still so many vet content that I've not done yet, and it's
fine.
Getting the right people. But I kind of love bringing people with me for the first time.
Yeah.
So I'll grab people that haven't done the dungeon as well, and it would take us like 6 hours to do it because they're standing in stupid or something. But I live off the challenge. A lot of people start raging after like 3 hours. I can go on for 6 hours in the same dungeon. I'm like, let's do this. We can do this. I'm pumped. And everyone's like, oh, I've had enough now. But I'm like, this is so fun because I'm struggling. And in normal or most content, I just heal through it. Like healing springs. Everyone stand close and I'll healing springs and no one's going to die and we'll be fine. But you actually have to think about what you're doing, especially hard mode as well. It adds that little bit of extra on the end. I wish that there was a hard mode throughout the whole thing. That would be cool if you could up the health of everyone and not just the last boss. I would love that.
That would be great.
It would be great. I would love that. I love the challenge. And then you'd have to think even more about the mechanics. So, and I love learning mechanics. I mean, I'm glad we're not talking about the new dungeons because I avoid everything so that when I go in it, I see it for the first time and I learn all the mechanics by failing. And then it's just, it adds this whole extra love to it. So I love that there is a jump between normal and vet because most people that go into vet, especially DLC, they want that, they want more, they're hungry. So I'm kind of glad that there's quite a jump, because if not, you can just stay in normal because normal's like pretty simple. The DLC adds that extra bit of pizzazz. That isn't too hard with that.
Oh, you are definitely a pro if you hit your mic. That is true. That is definitely true.
I flap about. For those listening, I'm very handsy and
I'm surprised that I haven't hit mine yet.
I like challenges, and once I've done all the vet content, it'd be cool if like there was a hard mode throughout the whole thing and not just the last boss. Sometimes I think it's kind of sad that it's just the last boss. Yeah. Because you've just done the same dungeon and it's just the last boss at different, when it could have been a new challenge the whole way through that could, in a way, make a whole new dungeon, because something you could burst through, you probably couldn't in hard mode. Because the health. Because because if you change the amount of health they have and percentage wise, that you can't just skip mechanics, I guess. Yeah, you can't burst them down because they've got way too much health, and you would have to do the mechanics. You would have to, like, one of the ones that I did again recently and suddenly remembered how annoying it was Scalebearer?
Scalebreaker. Scalecaller Peak.
Scalebreaker.
Scalecaller Peak. And I was like, I've done it a few times because I run Jawful because I'm a buff maniac. And I was like, I forgot how annoying the ogres were because I had people that were like little CPs with me, and we were trying to do all the mechanics. I was going, no, you've got to run into the ice and then you don't get instant killed, and then you do this and then you do that. And they were going, whoa, there's so much mechanics. I was like, it's great, isn't it? And they were like, no. And I was like, I love it. I was like, please do the mechanics. And once they got the hang of it, we had such a blast. They felt so much like accomplishment when they did it, because they were like, whoa, that was epic, because I had to do this and that and this and that, and it wasn't just pew 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 dead, because that's boring. So I like mechanics.
would it be another setting like you have in your party settings, normal vet, and then another click, 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 or would it be something when you enter their dungeon and you read a scroll or you click on something, it would increase the dungeon when you just go into the dungeon, kind of like in other games where you can go in and synergize with something, and then the whole dungeon suddenly, you do a reload UI and now it's the harder mode. Would you do that, or would you maybe have from the get go in the party?
That would
I
be
do
a
like the scroll at the end,
yeah.
but
Well,
then
like
I think it'd
Sunspire?
be hilarious if someone accidentally clicked it and then they were stuck with it the whole time.
Oh,
You remember like
What's this
Sunspire where you go
scroll
in and
Yeah.
everything's hard mode all the way through? If you pick
Mhm.
the first one, they all are. Because they did that with a new trial, didn't they? If they did that with Dungeon, I mean, that's kind of what
Do
you're
they make
talking
the
about, but
mobs?
that would be...
Do they make the NPCs?
No,
like that as
no,
well?
the bosses.
Just the bosses.
bosses.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Can you turn that off?
I've never tried turning it off.
Someone just
I think you
trolls
can
your
turn it
whole
off
party.
before you start.
Now you can
the
turn
fight.
hard mode off in
Okay.
VMod. I've never tried turning it off in anything else. It's either just go with it or wipe.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's do it again. No.
Okay. Awesome answers. I love it. Yeah, I'm very much the same. It is that in terms of that going in, and I mean, day of launch, Frostvault and Depths of Malatar were in Frostvault for 6 hours, literally 6 hours.
And that's got bugs.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it
Got
was
my
tough.
skin, baby.
I had one DPS with me, Cyclone, who's may or may not be here, and I was healing. But so we have a tank and a DPS, so one guy's obviously not doing much damage, and then the tank's learning the fights as well. So we're all learning together, and it's a little bit stressful, but I think that's fine. And the accomplishment afterwards, and then doing Depths of Malatar as well on the same day. That's a long stream. But yeah, no, I love that difficulty. I agree, and sharing that kind of stuff on stream is good. But not necessarily for everyone. But yeah, personally,
The
enjoy
option.
that. Yeah, the option is good. Xynode.
What was the question?
No, yeah, we got to get it. Well, see, I told you, like the amount of questions and stuff we have not got far. How do you feel about the
Free
normal
cookies.
and vet? The free cookie. How do
I
you
think
feel
there's a
about
very
vet
large
and
gap
normal?
between the two. I'll agree there's a very large gap. I can see the reason why, so that the content is accessible to everyone, to make sure that they get a completion.
Absolutely.
So I get that part. There is a massive gap from normal to vet, so you won't necessarily learn anything in normal unless you are perhaps very, very new. You do lack the potential damage output that some of the more experienced players have, and then possibly you learn some of it.
Yeah.
The veteran versions tend to have a little bit of spice added to them occasionally, so it is a bit harder. But if you were the lower end of the game and you learned it in the first place, you can take it with you into veteran. But if you're really experienced, it's a brand new dungeon, you go into a normal, you're going to nuke it, you go into a vet, you might struggle. The whole veteran side of it becomes the learning curve. Now, when they design the dungeons, they do tend to give you kind of this cookie crumbs type thing, or breadcrumbs, where you follow the small mechanics that you see all the way through, and then they're relevant when you get to the next boss.
Yeah.
And then sometimes each individual boss has its own kind of breadcrumb path, and then you see them all together on the last one. So it does teach you along the way if you're willing to pay attention. A lot of people do tend to go with the whole, I can smack a dummy really hard, I'm going to hit the boss really hard. And that is two sides. That is where some people fail because they don't follow any mechanics and they die. And that is sometimes where some people succeed because the content has been slightly overlooked and they nuke it before they even get to any mechanics. So with the most recent content, they have covered that. I don't mean the one on PTS right now. I'm not going to spoil that for anybody. But for the most part, over the last couple of patches, you can kill stuff very, very fast. But you also do have that element of if you don't follow mechanics, you are stuffed.
Mm.
And I'm very much a believer of following mechanics because the base of it is understanding what you have to do before you get really good at it and go really fast. And that's the whole point of the speed run achievements. They're not made for you to get it first time. They're made for you to know what you got to do and then get good at it. So the series that I have on my YouTube is actually called All About Mechanics because my fundamental point of the series is to teach people what you don't necessarily understand. From there on, that's when you can branch out to, well, I've seen this a million times before. I know exactly what's coming. 3, 2, 1, dodge roll. That didn't hit me. Nuke the boss. Yes, you can now nuke it, but you can't do it without understanding what to do first.
Yeah.
So I think the most recent DLCs, they are very, very helpful in doing that because they have underlined a few checkpoints during the boss's health, if you like, where things do happen and there's no nuking it. So Frostbot, for example, the kind of half an engine, what's his name, half a Colossus type body. It's like a big construct. He does have an immunity phase, which I think is a little bit easy to insert, I guess, but it does mean that you have to do the next phase. You can't just go past it.
Yeah.
Some of the older dungeons don't tend to have that, such as White Gold Tower, for example. But White Gold Tower for newer players has such a harsh mechanic that if you don't follow it, you're stuffed.
Yeah, loads of them.
I mean, you can nuke that boss in 20 seconds if you go 3 DPS, no problem. And you know what you're doing, so don't stand it stupid. But at the same time, if you have no idea what to do, you've never seen it before. I've seen tanks that are 8-10 eBayed, and they basically run in and stab the boss, right? and think it's gonna be taunted. That mechanic in there's a completely different mechanic where you have to take the ball, and now
you said
the
mag
aggro's
blade.
on
You said mag blades, right? Did you say mag blade?
No, I said eBay.
eBay. I was like, I play
basically max level characters that come in with look at my level, I'm awesome, and they're not. Now that mechanic there, if you don't pick up the ball,
can you buy characters?
Unfortunately, you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to. It's illegal. So by the way, if you're watching, don't do it.
Don't do it.
But yeah, unfortunately, it happens. You see people that are power leveled or bought or whatever, and they come in with all this whole I've played other MMOs, I know exactly what I'm doing. You don't. There are mechanics in place.
CP means nothing other than time.
It doesn't mean a thing, right? It does add to your ability to place your points into certain damage areas. Yeah. It does add the ability to increase your resistances for certain damage types, which could be wrong. You might have them in the wrong place for the content. And also recovery and such like that. So it does give you a benefit, but it doesn't make you a good player. You need to understand the mechanics to be a good player. So CP's last, mechanics first. And in that particular fight, for example, you have to pick up the ball to get aggro. Now, if your damage in your group is not sufficient, there is a mechanic where you can swap the ball amongst the group and then kind of share the damage and then pace the fight. If you don't understand that ball is the taunt, you get YOLO tanks running in there, stab the boss runs to Gratwood, and you wonder where the hell it's gone. Do you know what I mean? That happens so much. And those types of mechanics are what really make the dungeons stand out, teaching people how to do that stuff. I do agree with both Kay and Retired that some of the dungeons do need to be really revisited, and especially stuff like that, because although it's such a harsh mechanic in some instances where people do really struggle with it, and still even now, I think that maybe the health brackets for some of the bosses is so low that you can completely avoid the entire intention of that particular boss. Now, some of the early DLCs do have that. Not so much the new ones. They're pretty good, especially the hard modes. They are deliberately harsh. But some of the early DLCs and definitely some of the earlier dungeons. In that respect, I mean, not necessarily 1 and 2. So Fungal 1, Fungal 2, Banish 1, Banish 2. They're all, I mean, they're original. But stuff like Blessed Crucible, I think, is somewhat okay. They've still got some mechanics that you can't really skip unless you have loads of AoE and you nuke the Atros. But definitely Blackheart Haven and a couple of others as well are some of the coolest fights you'll ever come into contact with, but you can completely avoid every single mechanic and just nuke it in 30 seconds. So I think some of that needs reviving.
Is Blackheart original base game dungeon content?
It's you've got 8 dungeons that are base world areas, and then you've got 8 that are version 1 and 2. So they're not connected to those as such, but they do have a level cap where you can get into from the dungeon finder, although you can just travel into them if you want. Basically, there used to be normal, which was version 1, and then vet, which was version 2.
Right.
The other 8, including Blackheart Haven, were base game normal dungeons. So they didn't have a vet version. In one Tamriel, they introduced a vet and normal for every single version of the dungeon. So version 1s were still relatively simple in comparison to version 2. They had less mechanics, but they did make the bosses hit really friggin' hard. So that was an upscale for them. The other 8 dungeons that don't have a 1 or 2, some of those did translate into vet very well, especially like Tempest Island. That last boss, the Superman Punch, will still nuke most groups because they don't know how to position themselves. But Blackheart Haven, I mean, if you've got 30k DPS and 2 DPSs pumping that much out, you can kill him in 30 seconds. He's only got 2.5 million health. You can kill a target dummy with 2 DPSs like that even quicker. It's very, very simple to just nuke stuff like that. And I think that there should be some incentive to kind of make that a little bit rougher, because it is one of the harshest mechanics. He turns you into a skeleton for 30 seconds, you can't do a damn thing. But the rest of the group can kill it in less time than it takes you to get out of the
That's
curse.
true. I mean, because you can only, and you can just use your sword, and I don't even know if you do damage, do you?
You breathe, you do a breath thing, you can kill the skeletons.
Okay, right. So I didn't even know.
So I would like to see them
You
approach.
can puke.
Yeah, you can breathe the death breath on everything.
Thank you for
But again, I think
the
if you push
example.
that...
How did that go again? Okay.
Excellent. If they boosted it up a little bit, I mean, they don't have to necessarily change the mechanics for it because they are in place. They are quite harsh. I think 30 seconds on a debuff like that is too long based on how short the fight is.
Right.
I think maybe bring a debuff down to maybe like 15, 20 seconds or so if it has to be that long, and make the fight last a bit longer by upping the health. If Blackheart was 5 million health instead of 2.5, that would be a much, much harder fight, especially since they fixed it so you can't cheese it anymore.
Yeah,
And
that's quite
one
a lot
more
of extra
thing,
health.
which is kind of dungeons, is borderline delve, and I've said this to the developers as well, and they're going to hate me for bringing it up. But Craglorn has got some of the best 4-man content in the game.
You mean public dungeons or the bosses?
They're restricted to 4-man. So if you go in with your group, no one else can come in with you.
Yeah.
So technically, they're kind of a dungeon.
Yeah.
Some of those
The public
outshine.
dungeons? Well, the instant.
Some
I've
of
done
those
a lot of
the
those.
base one.
I can't.
Yep,
maybe
they're
it's-
instant.
okay. Is that the one
Some
with
of
the
those
stones,
outshine 'em.
the rocks on the floor, where you have to do like some of the puzzles in there as well? Yeah,
Some of those
are the fun ones.
outshine the
Okay.
base game dungeons for 4-man content, but they've been made so simplistic over one Tamriel that scary Craglorn area, those are no longer being used. So you have got so much potential for extra dungeon content that's already in the game that if you just boosted it up a little bit more, they could then come into it as well. So you've got content already there. In one respect, they could get a little bit of a boost, which would be nice. And then you've got content that we've already got as actual dungeons, which some I think are fair and some I think just need a little bit of a tweak since they didn't come through from Ontario quite so well.
Okay.
Hard modes for recent DLCs though, they are challenging. So if you are that experienced player that wants a bit of a hyped difficulty, see you in Fanglair. That's rough.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean,
So
it is. I and just to add my little bit of spiel here, normal and vet. Yeah, I mean, vet dungeons. There is that, and we're going to be going through a few more things very shortly as well. I do like the difference between normal and vet. You definitely feel the difference as you're leveling up and you're leveling CP, as you've all said in various ways. And that jump, there is quite a jump, but I feel like the jump is okay when you hit 50 and then you're trying to get towards 160 gear, and there's a focus on gear more than I think dungeon. I think generally once you hit 50, there's that focus to get to 160, right? Get that gear. I mean, that's what most people are trying to do, right?
Oh yeah.
And then almost when you hit that 160 mark, then you can properly start doing vet and DLC dungeons, and at least the point, if you're a healer or DPS, and start focusing on things like damage rotations, really optimizing your build, making sure you've got all the right skill points for, making sure you've got skill points, I guess as well, so you can start, building the Undaunted and the Fighters Guild and Alliance or whatever. Which is going to change, which you're going to be able to change by paying for things. Maybe I should have a podcast on that. Yeah, there are plus sides, but there's definitely another side to it that I'm very wary of. But I think it's actually a good thing, believe it or not.
You do have to earn it first.
You do have to earn it first.
That's the thing.
Exactly.
You've had to go through the motions first.
And that's the
I gotta
important
do the
thing.
Physic line quest one more time. I swear to God.
Yeah,
See?
no.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
I'm very happy about that specifically because I want it for my tank. Like I want one ability. So I'm gonna try and not go onto that because it's a good subject. It is, but I want to go. I'm gonna have a post patch buy. A podcast buy, post patch buy. That's probably bad.
Let's go for a party.
It's okay. We'll all do it. We'll all go into Twitch and we'll all just scream and shout and have tea or something. But generally, I like the normal and the vets tea, indeed, and the hard mode. But the question I have is, and we've kind of covered that. I'm not sure if we need to go into this much more. Could they be more difficulty added to vet +1? And I actually think there could be. I think you've all said it in a way, so I'm going to kind of skip this almost, but just add my own little bit. I think that they could. I don't know how chat feels about this, and if you have questions in chat, we will sometimes pick up on those things. But predominantly, this is a show which is us four, and we're kind of talking to you as well. But this goes out everywhere. So if you're in Twitch live right now or YouTube and whatnot, it is difficult for us to sometimes, because there is kind of a theme and everything else. I do like to move through, but I try to pick up on some of your questions where we can. But vet, again, I think there should be just a completely new name rather than just like vet. Like, I don't know, like something ridiculous. I don't know. Think of a name, whatever you want to call it. Bob's Factory. It's not very good. I don't know. But something else where it's like hardcore mode, where the
Jeff
mobs are
mode.
ridiculous. Jeff mode. There you go. That's actually pretty good. Malcolm. There you go. That's the one for you.
There
And
you
it's
go.
like,
Leroy mode.
yeah, just complete pain. Like, absolute pain, struggle, and emotion. And it's like everything that you can get is gold. Like, I don't know. Like, all the gear you can get is gold. And because it's another level, isn't it? I mean, you can get gold stuff. Yeah. Can you get gold stuff in Vet?
Not in dungeons, and that's
Not in
something that I brought up
No.
to developers before. I understand why they don't do it, but at the same time, there is content in the game, PvP and PvE, where you do get gold stuff based on the content, but there's nothing in there for dungeons at all.
And
so,
that's,
Even if it's just
apart from
last boss, that'd
VMA,
be
which is not
awesome.
the dungeon. So
it's not
I mean,
technically.
if you activate like hard mode on the boss, then perhaps you should be able to get it. I mean, obviously their argument would be, well, basically you can just farm gold materials by doing Fungal Grotto 1 hard mode on repeat. But perhaps you've got a no death to hard mode or something to that extent. Just have some incentive to get something in there without waiting for the golden for God knows how many freaking weeks, and it never turns up.
It's just the additional
materials.
thing. I mean, or some kind of, or a weapon choice or something like that. Because the one thing that does wind me up quite a lot in ESO, and this has been the same thing in MMOs for years, but ESO it's more prominent because there's so much gear you can get. There's a light, there's a medium, there's a heavy class.
Crap out of everything.
And it's just like, and you can customize everything else. So, from this boss, there's a possibility that you can get 24 items. I might be being a bit extreme with that, but I feel like there's some of them and there is that chance that you can there's so many. And due to RNG, I've still not got a lightning sanctuary stuff. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Dear God, that thing doesn't exist.
It's just like, I have no luck in that regard. So it's like, maybe if you have an extreme edition, you have the option by the end of the dungeon, and it's really tough, like ridiculous, like to the point where it doesn't matter if you've got 810 CP, and at the end of the dungeon, you're just like, I can get this thing, but you cannot cheese this, and it takes things away.
On the nose, you're right there.
Do you know what I mean? Because then that would be the point where you can do that.
Dungeons
Or
are
just
attached
call it
to
Undaunted. Yeah.
Dungeons are attached to
the thing-
Undaunted, so add a vendor at the end, part of the quest, where you can speak to him and use your keys to buy a specific weapon.
But it has to be, I feel like
It's got to be a lot of keys, though.
I think it has to be a difficulty thing or
Yes,
something
definitely.
which is ridiculous to get, because otherwise you won't go there, and then the dungeon community would die. Well, not die, but it would get less, because you wouldn't have me going to like, I don't do this anymore. I haven't done this for a while, but I wouldn't have gone to banished cells like 40 times in a row to try and farm this thing, and then I wouldn't be in the population of the queue and everything else. So I do feel like that I don't want to. I'm very, very conscious about making things too easy to get, because
50 keys. 50 keys.
50
You got to go
keys.
in there a lot.
Or I think it'd be
Maybe.
really cool to still keep the RNG a little bit, but maybe you can put in 4 items from the set and it jumbles them up, and it spits something out, and
Mm.
it
Like a
could
reroll
be
system.
something that isn't like the grinder in Borderlands, where it eats up the guns and
yeah.
it spits out a new gun. So then you've still got you have to keep trying, but you get an extra bonus
extra
attempt at the
chance.
end. And if
A
you
little bit more
put 4 of the
chance.
same set in there,
Yeah.
you would definitely get that set, and it would be generated to
Oh,
not
that's
give you
like-
anything that you've put in.
That's like Guild Wars 2 in the Mystic Forge, actually. You
So
can put
here's
4
another
question.
items
Guild
in
Wars
and you can
2.
get something out of that. Yeah, but that's a
Mystic
similar
toilet.
thing. Yeah, it's
Mystic
called the
toilet.
Mystic Toilet.
Yeah,
That's exactly what it's
Put them in
called.
there, and then
You can
just
put 4 of the
flush,
same
just
thing in. That's
flush.
right. You can. It's,
I think
it's
if you could
customized.
earn
Another question, guys.
currency.
Here's
Sorry,
another
go on.
question. If we make another, if it all works out, and you make another like a mythic version of this dungeon, and you're spitting out gold items, and
Good
it's easier
comparison.
for me to spit out a gold item and get what I need.
Yeah.
What effect is that going to have on the crafting system?
Well, that's the thing as well. This is why I'm saying it has to be
That's why they've got to
something
be
which
careful.
is ridiculous to do. Like it has to
That's
be
why I
like
said like fungal. You
mega.
couldn't just spam fungal hard mode on repeat and get loads and loads of gold
Yeah.
jewelry. But then in other respects, I mean, maybe some groups find one trial really, really easy and they just spam the crap out of that and farm gold jewelry.
Yeah.
So where's the balance?
This is the thing.
So
and
it's difficult to find that with such a big gap between the first ever dungeon you encounter to what we've got as end sort of recent DLC. Where's the line for what is balanced?
it is difficult. It is
Engage.
difficult.
Stop
And-
making the gear from the lower dungeons so OP. And make only
Yeah,
the gear
put
from
shit
higher
in
levels.
this.
Yeah, put shit loot in the beginning ones and make the gear that's irrelevant in the end ones, so you have something to look forward to earning.
You got one mud crab pie. That's it. That's all you got.
Oh god.
That's OP. I'll take out Moloch Ball.
I
in one
mean,
hit.
if you're just starting and you're trying to get a gear set, like there's instant gratification there. Like you can pretty much get on normal, like you can get blues. Like sometimes you can even be lucky enough, and you do it with a guild group, you can get everything you need. Like you can just get an armor set, like flipping chest, boots, belt, whatever. You can get that in a run, and that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And you can upgrade that pretty easily if you've been playing for a bit. And you've got some, it's not that difficult. You don't even have to go out and get crafting materials to do that. You can get people, dropping them off in your mailbox. You get that stuff in dungeons anyway. It's pretty easy to get to purple and upgrade it as long as you've got crafting up as well. It's just a skill points game there. But that's pretty good. Sorry, retired.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Make those beginner sets, intermediate sets. Don't.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people uses Giuliano still, or use some sort of necropotence? Those are relatively easy to get, but you see a lot of builds who still use some of those sets for in-game builds. Some people.
It is important to have entry level stuff. I think accessible stuff is important to make a newer player feel powerful. But I think that when you can mix free, maybe even a monster set as well, I think you're right in that regard completely. Like if you can get a completely built out character with just dungeon stuff that's really easy, or even crafting, like you say, like Julianos and whatnot. Then that's a problem, because then where's the incentive if they can't trial? Because a lot of incentive for MMO players is to gear up.
Well, the thing is, I'm glad they've done it the way that they have, because if you did have an entry level set, if you want to call it that, that would pigeonhole that particular set into one way where only new players would really be using it. The way they've made it is so that anything can be used by anybody at a later date or an early time in the game, and you don't know what they're going to do with it. There's so many different possibilities that is still possibly just as relevant at 810, where you've got all the shiny stuff, as it is at 160, or maybe even lower than that if you made a crafted version of it. So it's good that they've balanced certain things within that kind of within those parameters, but also they are looking at a lot of sets, because some of them are falling off the bridge a little bit. But then the crafting system itself, I mean, outside of dungeon loot, it's so easy to get into the market with your first 10k gold and kit yourself out to put you ready into the dungeons to then look for other stuff. So, I mean, even then, do you want the stuff in the dungeon, or is what you've got already better than what you're going to pick up? It's hard to gauge it all.
It depends as well, like whether or not you like things. Like if you go to Waller's website and like you look at tanking, like his philosophy or what I got from his philosophy is buffing the team and actually going for things like Nightblade tank. I can't remember what his build's called, but he's got spell power cure gear on his tank. And I was looking at that, and I was looking at most builds, and I was thinking, most of this is self-sustained, like full tankiness. And he's got two terms. I can't remember what it is, tank and tanky or something like that. And it was if you go and watch his, sorry,
was it a selfish tank build?
He didn't call it selfish. I mean, he called it more. There's a difference between being tanky and a tank or something like that. His video is really good. And it was just an explanation about tanks. And he said, there are both options, but you can be a tank that buffs as well. So your healers can run even different sets. So I'm actually going for a spell power cure on one of my tanks at the moment. It's more dungeon focused than anything else.
Are you using Blood Funnel for that? Because you can proc it off everybody.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm using. So Blood Funnel is the it's expedition buff, but it's an AoE buff on the floor, which heals as well. And this is what procs spell power cure, isn't it? It's the AoE on the ground. And and it gives you the buff. What's the buff? What's the buff exactly? It's like extra damage. It's extra damage, isn't it? I can't remember.
Sorry, what were you referring to?
Spell power cure. It's
extra weapon and spell damage.
extra weapon and spell damage.
50%
Yes.
chance if you take a heal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
heal them at 100%.
that's right, exactly. And so if you don't play ESO as well, we're talking about gear sets and everything else, healers and other classes can have gear which gives buffs, not only to themselves but the rest of their party, depending on different things and HP and even floor AoE, like ground AoE or single target stuff. And there's a lot. KayPOW, she uses Jebro, she knows about that. She's got probably all the gear sets, and as a healer, we want it, and as a DPS as well, we kind of want to get all the sets, Worm Cult, Flipping Jawvold, Sanctuary, and everything else, and Infal, and Mending, and there's so many, because there's so many.
I think there's not flush. There's almost like 400. Is it 400 sets in the game, including weapon sets?
Really?
Not quite, but not far off.
It's getting there. Okay.
There's a lot of choices, and then you've got to consider. You're not mixing 5 and 5 and 2. You might be mixing 3 of one and 2 of another and 4 of another. You might be really, really obscure.
And depending about your weapons as well. Yeah, exactly. And your rings. And it's really good. It's easily got one of the best gear systems in MMOs. Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to move on because damn, we're not getting far. But this is good. This is good conversation. I'm really enjoying this. Okay, did I go through everyone? Because I feel like that question went forever.
Yeah, no, it was good. You guys
I'm not sure. Oh no, it wasn't a question. I just roughly went over it. Okay. I feel like we've kind of gone through that as well. This is what's good about this, because it's like more of a guide, and we kind of go through it as we go. But just very quickly, do you guys feel vet dungeons are kind of the answer for people that can't get into trials? Like KayPOW, you saying that you can't get into trials, right? And anyone that's listening, I would encourage you to go into Twitch and get involved in communities so you can fill up people like the awesome streamers like Kay, like Retired, like Xynode, and go and join them in these things, because there's more than enough opportunity. And mine as well. We have 2 trials a week. And we have actually streamers that come and join us, for example, like Stardancers come into trials with us like twice the last week. Different people at ASMR as well, and it's very good to we can all mix and match together and help each other out. But do you feel like that meets a challenge for you, that you can't go to trials but you can do vet dungeons? Because you were saying about the 6-hour Frostfall as well, right?
Yeah, that's why I think I would like a little bit harder mode, so that you can bridge the gap even more. So that at least maybe I can't get enough guild members in one sitting to get the trial sorted, but we could go do the harder version of the dungeon and have fun with that. I do think vet dungeons are sort of the middle ground for us, and we've been doing them a lot more recently because people love the frustration of everybody in the chat, and people love the idea of me finally snapping. It's not happened yet. I don't think it ever will. To me, I love ESO, but it is at the end of the day a game, and it's a fun challenge. But I think they want reasons for me to snap, and it doesn't happen. So it's kind of like an ongoing joke. And I feel like the vet dungeons are sort of our version of the trials until we can just get a trial group together willy-nilly. And I could go to Craggy and go, hey, I need 4 damage dealers still. Can someone help me? But there's something not as satisfying running as randoms than with your own guild, especially on stream when people are watching you. You want to be able to say, yeah, this is my guild. You should come join us. Not, we didn't get enough people and I had to get random. That's kind of a kick in the teeth. So I do feel like I'd like more. I like it, but the DLC has given me that hunger now. Like Xynode said, the new DLC is just so challenging and fun that I want that, but for the older dungeons. So I want that difficulty plopped into the older ones. I'm quite lucky that I've not got bored of the older ones yet, because when I was like on Xbox, I didn't really do dungeons. I was in a crafting guild. I just crafted and quested for 4 years because I'm crazy. So when I came over, it was quite fun. And then I did DLC dungeons, and it felt so different to the older ones. They definitely need to have a little bit of the dungeons need to be buffed. Like, buff the dungeons. The older ones, it feels kind of flat going back to them. But I think if you're starting out, it's good to have them easy, but maybe a harder mode for us that still want to do random dailies, but don't want to just swan through like a beautiful, graceful swan on a lake.
This is boring. I just get bored.
Fish underneath the water that are trying to bite me, and I'm like, ah! Basically.
Wow. that escalated very quickly. Yes, no Sunline, there's death. In my face. I
want death.
Thankfully, she wants death. There you go. Bring it. I mean, I'm the same. You know. I mean, I find it very. I don't know. I do find it very boring when I can just smash through a raid. And like there are some streams that I've watched in the past where there might be like an entire group of people that will just take them through, and I'm like, I kind of want to watch them struggle a bit. I kind of want to watch them learn to give me that experience. And you know, that's not an insult or anything. People just run their shit differently, you know. That's just the way it is. But personally, for me as a viewer, or just someone who is a fan of someone, maybe sometimes it would just be nice to be like, I want to see them learn and see them adapt and see how that happens. So, you know, already I'm like, I want to go into Kay's, you know, all these guys and just be like, okay, that's cool. I'm not going to feel like a dick that I can't do this stuff, because they can't either. And they're trying to learn, like Xynode's got his guides, you know, and he's teaching the proper way, that I feel is good. And to the mechanics first, because you go into a dungeon sometimes, #indeed. You go into a dungeon sometimes, and like sometimes you're like, oh cool, there's CP, you know, 1,250, and then you realize that actually that means nothing, and it's kind of just time in the game. They've just run the XP, or like, you know, Xynode says, eBay. And it's just like, you know, it doesn't really mean that much. Whereas if you got someone who's been in another MMORPG and they've been playing for 10 years, they've just started and elsewhere, like we've got in our community, you know, they'll be nailing this stuff down like really, really quick. But they won't have enough CP to get the armor that drops from the flipping thing in the first place. So they just have to keep going through the other stuff. I do think a lot of the time we should reward people with skill sometimes rather than just time. That's just MMOs. I don't think that's ever going to change. Unfortunately, I think that's maybe another podcast.
That's part of buying the skills once you've already got them.
I guess,
because then you can save time later on your other characters.
So they are kind of changing that in a way. So that's
a little bit, yeah.
That's good. Yeah, that's a good point actually.
The blocker for that is you must have done it once. Which is fair.
Yeah, oh god, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the content is great. I really like that Sigil Guild line, but there's no way I'm doing it again.
I don't want to do toilet quests on every single character.
No,
I really don't.
Absolutely not. It's a waste of time. I'd rather spend time I want to play games for the things I want to do, right? I mean,
yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't want to sidetrack. I don't want to sidetrack you too much because it's a completely different subject. Although it is relevant to time spent in the game. If for argument's sake you're a PvPer and you love PvP and you don't want to play anything else in the game, but your first character, you got every single thing you ever needed. All the skill lines unlocked. You got it all, right? When you make a brand new character, you don't want to go and get Undaunted all over again. You don't want to do Mage's Guild all over again. You don't want to do get Dawnbreaker from Fighters Guild all over again. You just want to get into PvP on your new character and fight people. So that actual bonus to what they're bringing in.
You can't start this conversation with me because I have many issues with this. I have many issues with this as well. Many issues with this.
The reason I don't see it's a problem is because the one reason I see people complaining is that's not fair. He's going to be stronger than he should be.
Yeah.
What's the problem? Are you worried about the fact that you can't kill someone smaller than you?
Yeah.
Because if you are, that's a completely different issue.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I agree. Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying.
I've seen level 20s with Mages Guild 10 that look like they are level 20s, and they're literally bait jewelers sitting in Oradom, and they hit you with a nice comment like, where the hell did that come from? And that was a year ago, so you can already get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're clever.
I mean,
but I think time in the game can be extended playing the content you don't want to play.
Yeah.
So that incentivizes kind of a little bit of what you want to do with your time rather than I'm stuck here grinding for a friggin' week and I just want to be in Cyrodiil. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
convenience. That's what I like the idea for it behind. Not just for PvP, but PvE also. The flip around, whichever.
Yeah, no, both. Go on, retired.
And that gets you in dungeons quicker too.
We're sidetracked.
We're sidetracking again. Are you bringing us back, or are you sidetracking even further?
Bring us back.
Still wanna go down that rabbit hole like
It's a
champ, but
podcast.
This
Sidetracking is
could go
okay.
somewhere very
You know,
quickly.
we veered off the yellow brick road. It's okay. We're on some grey road somewhere. It's fine.
I want to go to that rabbit hole with you guys. Trust me.
Definitely
It's slightly relevant because it's passives that will make you better in your dungeons, I guess.
True.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Okay. Well, Retired, is there anything you wanted to say, or are you just saying to go kind of?
What was the question again? We were talking about so many different
We
things.
weren't. It wasn't a question. I veered it off somewhere else. I'm a poor host.
So you started.
I sided. Yeah,
Dungeons, the
actually.
answers for players who can't get into groups with trials. I think vet dungeons are a good starting point for people who want to get in trials. Now, normal trials doesn't really dictate you're going to be a good tank or a good DPS, because you're kind of being carried by the rest of your group because there's so many of them. And I say carried because if you're a tank and your DPS can kill it fast, what are you really tanking? You know, really, I mean, if you missed a taunt, who cares? Your group already killed it. You know what I mean? Or if your tank is really good, but the DPS sucks, he can taunt it longer. I mean, so anyway, I think it's a good point to do vet dungeons as a tank or as a DPS to kind of get in there and work on and this also goes with, and I used to call it humping dummies because people use the test dummy to test their DPS. But what it does is it helps you with sustain, helps you with your rotation. And by doing things in normal dungeons, they really don't count. To me, they're kind of irrelevant, to be honest, in the realms of trials. For vet dungeons, harder content, having a tank, being able to handle crap going sideways and being able to pull things in and stay alive and or be the only one alive and being able to resurrect his people if crap goes down. Yes, I think it's a gateway for going into trials to hone your skills, but I don't think it's a substitute at all.
No.
It is a different
Agreed.
kettle of fish for sure. Okay. I mean, it's definitely like I like the because I think Kay is saying that it is definitely good, and then you're saying that it's not but you're both saying to a degree there is no replacement at the moment, like for smaller groups. That's basically what you're both saying right now. There is no
not really
comparison
because the rewards aren't the same.
Yeah,
There could be another level. I mean, DLC is getting there. The most recent DLC
it's
is
true.
really fun, but just if amped up that, I really think just hard mode for the whole thing would be a good step, and maybe an easy one to implement because you're just doing what you've already got, adding it on. But if they changed all the mechanics and stuff, that could be a bit more. But I think even that would give a little bit more excitement to dungeons before, because again, you can't just burst them down. You have to do the mechanics, which I actually tell everyone, even if I'm running, if I'm with guildies, I will tell them to do the mechanics, even though we don't have to, because it adds more fun. And I go, don't you just burst through it, do the mechanics, because if you do vet mode and you're not higher level, you're gonna regret not doing it and learning it. So I will force them to do it anyway. And sometimes they'll moan, but then they'll say, actually, it was more fun than I've done with other people. They'll go, oh, it was a lot more interesting because we had to do this, that, and the other. And I didn't know that mechanic before, but now I know it exists, and that's really interesting. But they're just ignored, and it's really sad.
Yeah.
And Q for the role that you actually are, for the love that all it is holy.
Oh my god, thank you for that.
Don't come in as a Nightblade or a Magblade thinking you're going to tank the damn thing. You might be OP as hell, but you're not doing the party any favors.
No, you're right.
If you don't have the gear or the skills, then don't queue for it.
Yeah.
Don't come in as a pet sork saying you're going to be a healer. Get the heck out with that.
A pet sork.
You're right.
That's
Don't.
DPS.
When
queues.
make tanks. Oh gosh.
Normal
And
dungeons,
when
if you're
people skip
experienced, you can
random, and there's new
sometimes
people in
get
there.
away.
Oh.
So you can sometimes I do.
On normal, you can sometimes get away with it. On vet, not a chance. There's like very few dungeons that you can get away with it. And the people that queue up as a tank and they're actually a DPS, they're the ones that generally are not actually capable of pulling that off anyway. So if you are queuing up as a tank, for Christ's sake, be a tank.
I'm
If you're
totally
queuing up
fine with you doing it with a pre-made.
Yeah, that's
Fair
different.
enough.
Because
If you
obviously you want to
told
get
your
a queue
people that you're
yourself.
doing
Yeah.
it, but if you're doing randoms, that's not fair if you get a new player in your
No,
group
this is true.
and they're expecting a tank to do their tank thing
Yeah.
and they
Yes.
don't have any self heals, and then
Spinning with
and then
dual
the
wheels.
tank will skip because they want to rush, and you're like, there are new people in this game that are doing randoms and you're ruining the game for them. You're ruining the experience.
Yeah,
Sometimes
you're just
people
trying to
don't
get
think
undaunted.
that
Yeah.
there's other people there.
Skipping the queue like that
Lame
is not
wins.
going to do anything for you or anybody else. It's just going to waste time because you can't tank it because you're not actually a tank, and nobody else can tank it because they queued up as their specific role. So now what are we doing? We've got no one to taunt the boss. We've got no one to block the heavy attacks. Everybody's dead. We all mess up. We lose 15 minutes of our time because the queue's now bust, and now we've got to wait for a new group. Hopefully, the next potential tank actually is capable of being a tank. That kind of stuff doesn't help. So if you're doing a vet dungeon and you're going for the group finder, for God's sake, queue up for what you are.
Yeah.
And if you need a tank, make one. It's just
Yeah.
you're getting really quick, and otherwise you waste time.
It takes too long. Well, go get your mage books. Go get your sky shards. There's plenty.
You're not going to make it any quicker by queuing up for something you're not. You're just going to make it worse.
Yes.
There's a life lesson in there somewhere. By
I
the way.
plug all the time on my streams to show people different stuff in dungeons. But I always plug on my stream. Sometimes we get people in we know, sometimes we don't.
But you lead by
trials
example, I'm
all
assuming.
Yeah, I do lead by example. I try to
Okay,
tell
good.
people that getting into pugs will teach you to become a better player because you'll sometimes have to play way above and beyond your
Yeah.
role because some people will
Absolutely.
cock it up. But I also give people a prime example of what not to do in some dungeons and queues and all the rest of it, especially what Retired brought up is the tank thing. The tank or healers. Sometimes you get
That's a
away with
big
a
one.
healer. Someone slots a couple of heals on their mag,
Yeah.
DPS, or maybe a vigor or something, you might be able to survive. Whichever. Maybe they should address that and maybe make some things hit a bit harder, but whatever. The tank, though, be a tank. Normal, you can get away with it sometimes. Vet, definitely not.
So know
Especially
your role.
Fang Lair, for God's sake. Yeah, know your role for sure.
Know your
Think
role.
of the new friends. There's so
there's a
many
mug
new
for that.
people come along for elsewhere, especially.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
People are
definitely.
still doing it. Like when the DLC first, the chapter first came out, people were doing it. I was going, there's obviously so many new players. Think you like, don't just be selfish. Oh, I need this piece of gear though, and I've got to run through and I've got no friends online. Okay, we'll
keep
play what
you
you're
out of my
supposed to
group.
play.
Yeah.
You've got to know your role, Emo.
Of course I have. Do you know how many
That's
pugs I
great.
run?
Amazing.
That's
I have a
brilliant.
video called The Hardest Pug Ever.
Oh.
We had a space tank. He was in the sky.
Wait, what?
Space tank
Oh,
is part of
God.
Was he
Space
just
Force.
hacking?
I'm
or
not gonna.
something?
No. It was a bug. I'm not gonna go too far into it. But werewolf tanks. We had some werewolf healers. We had all different manner of
Oh,
stuff. that
God,
was
Werewolf
werewolf
healers?
from max level players that completely lost their taunts and heals because they broke out into werewolf and stuff like that. And I had a pug where it was beyond funny at the time. We'd had so many fails, and I was like, where the hell is the tank? And I looked up, and he was in the sky, and he was stuck. We had a space tank. And there's nothing I could do. But I was completely helpless. 3 hours on the same boss. My hands were up. Like, what can I do?
And the guy was
Hashtag just ESO things.
It was so funny.
Jesus Christ,
But
no,
yeah,
I'm not
primarily
witness that
people
one.
do need to queue up for what they are because you're not making it any quicker for
No.
you. You're making it
Absolutely
slower
not.
for everybody else.
Right, I'm gonna bash onto another thing because we are nowhere
do
near
it.
anywhere right now. Okay, so okay, we did kind of talk about rewards a little bit. Generally, are you guys happy? Very very quickly, yes or no? Like rewards, are they good in dungeons? Do you get rewarded well, or is this a
Gets
deeper
Melatonin
conversation?
skin.
They're good. I'd like to see a little bit
RNG is
more,
in
but
my
they're good.
favor, yes.
This Minotaur skin's a good point. Yes, very good point.
So good. I was
Yes.
so excited to do that.
Mhm.
We spent hours
Yeah.
doing it. Oh, we were
DLC
so
Minotaur
happy.
skins. Mhm.
Too easy? Should it have
No.
been more difficult to get, or was it fine?
No,
It
no.
was hard as
It
hell,
was-
man.
Other,
If you went in with a group that didn't know what they were doing, we tried multiple times. In the last run, we did it in 2 hours, but we spent probably a total of 10 hours in that dungeon.
yeah, it's subject to
We were-
experience.
I do get distracted, but
Yeah, no, that's good. Okay.
I
we
think
didn't
adding
even
the
do
skin
half mode in the end.
Sorry. I think adding the skin to dungeons that are on vet aren't the thing because we've had them hidden behind hard mode speedrun no death for a very, very long time and people were
Yeah.
frustrated with it. ZOS does have to look at obviously completion rates, which is why they nerf certain things in the first place because they have to make sure that they cater for a larger
Yes.
We'll say minority if you like, because at the end of the day, the really experienced players, there aren't that many that can get those really special achievements.
No.
And when it came to that, there was so few that could get the achievements that then when the majority came in, I mean, they had no chance whatsoever. There was some of the completion rates, which for some bosses were like 2% or something. So they had to bring it back. So when it comes to skins like this, the incentive to go in and instead of give up and say, oh, I'm never going to get it, it was like, you know what? If we push just for the completion, we'll get something worth our time. So it pushed lesser experienced players to kind of up their game a little bit rather than just go, well, I'm never going to get that, am I? What's the freaking point? So I like the idea of it. We had them hidden behind big stuff for a long time. Bring it down a bit and still having titles and big achievements hidden behind the harder stuff. It gives the if you want to put it to a sharper point, the elite players, if you want. I don't mean elitists. I don't mean the ones with the attitude. I mean the ones that are really, really good. If you put it more towards them to say, here's your list of stuff to do once you've got this. And for everybody else, you know what? You get a skin for your troubles. I don't see that as a bad thing.
I've actually got a middle ground for this fort that you guys are having. I really like the fact that because this is the different experience where I'm seeing it. So there's K's where it's like, you know, and it's very much mine as well. Like the reason I did that day of release was I want that damn skin, man. Like, that's really cool. And like, you know, I want to do that vet as soon as possible. I don't really care about normal. I'll do normal and then I'll do vet, I guess. But having the extra thing of like you get the skin, but then there's another skin which is just it's got this additional thing on it, or it's a different skin, or there's a level, there's like a tier. So you complete vet, there's rewards for the vet. Then you complete vet on hard mode, and then or not hard mode, but like, you know, the dungeons at the moment, you know, like speedrun, whatever, you get this skin plus it's got this extra little bit of glow or whatever. And in addition, like I don't want them to get rid of, I don't want them to be like, yeah, we're not going to give skins out for these special achievements anymore. I still want to have something extra. And I know that's extra production time. Skins are tough to produce, but the way they do it with the skins, it's a skin. It's going over the entire character. I think is a bit easier than armor. I'm not sure, again, because I don't work in that area. I know armor is very, very long production time, but ESO is not crazy on their armor, you know, it's not like special colors and everything else, but it's still a long production time. But I feel like there could be an in-between, even between what both of you were saying as well, is that because definitely the achievements, like you said, and the titles are cool, but do people really care about that? And is it
a lot of them do.
They do?
Yeah, if they're really going for it, they do. I mean, if you introduce an extra skin, like a higher tier skin, we come back to the same problem. This one becomes irrelevant. Get that out of the way. Now you want this one. And then
even if that's still difficult,
though, I'm never going to get that.
Right, okay.
They've done it with a mount, which I like. I don't think they should necessarily add notes. Just they added a mount to that, which is completely new.
That's beautiful.
It is quite cool, but
very good.
They did introduce the area of, well, maybe I'll never get it, but that did give a push for the more experienced types. Maybe a little too far in comparison to some of the other stuff, but I don't think introducing a second skin would fix it. But what they did with the mount,
that's
cool.
actually what they've done, isn't it?
Different reward entirely.
The mounts that match the skins would be awesome.
But the mount is with I can't remember the achievement name. What do you need? And you have to do, is it speed, no death, or is it, what is it?
Speed, run, no death, hard mode all at once.
So that is the kind of almost what I kind of said, isn't it? But it's different.
There's a whole new prize. Not a skin like you've already got, a whole new prize. So keep the skins where they are, keep them under vet. Yeah. Everyone can go and get in for their character. If you want to go for the shiny stuff like titles, achievements, and now a mount, that's fair enough because it's a completely different goal to go for. Rather than half of these people have got a skin, half of these haven't, and they're sitting there going, well, I'm not going to get anything. Nothing. So I like the idea that they did that, but it's still pretty rough. It's
rough.
It's got to be there, hasn't it? So
I like it though. It's so good. It's a different
reward.
Rather than having everything in the store to buy, like you need to have, and I think ESO does it well. There is dyes, like, you know, that you can get, and people want to obsess over that. I mean, I know one of our mods does, and she just puked in chat. That sounded weird. That's an emote. And you know, there's other. I'm gonna get in trouble now. There is other thing. I think that's what I really love about it. So I think there are rewarding things that you can get other than gear, which is fantastic. I don't know if anyone else wants to add to that at all.
Well, if you want to add, when you're talking about dyes, since that was the little topic that was brought up, something that blows my mind is you're trying to dye something gold and you dye it on a piece of leather and the damn thing turns purple. I'm like,
are you talking about, like, this is not related at all?
As a reward, if you're going to reward me a
color
as a dye,
right.
And I'm looking for that red dye or that blue dye or that green dye because that's really cool and I want that. And then I try to put that on a piece of my armor. Woo, green, it's pink. What the that thing that I worked for.
Some of them are 2 times
leather or metal or cloth.
Yeah.
It does different things.
Right.
So if it's freaking green, it better be freaking green when I put it on my damn armor.
I need to see the stream where this happened because I feel like this has been something that's happened live on stream.
Oh, there's a couple of them. But anyway, I digress. There's one like orange and gold.
Okay, it was relevant. There you go. I got it. Okay, good.
That's how it's relevant. See, I come to go out to the outskirts in space and bring you back down.
It's okay. No, I like it. It's good. Kay, did you want to add anything to that, the rewards thing, or are we good?
I think it'd be cool to have more unique things like the mount. And although I'll probably never get it, it's cool that the option's there and to see it around the world, to be able to flaunt that. Because if you worked for that, you should have something good to show.
Absolutely.
That when they showed the mount, I was like, whoa. Wasn't too sure about the Crown Store version that you buy with gems that looks the same, just different colors. Was a bit confused by that. But more mounts, more pets would be cool. I mean, you can get pets for just like doing a public dungeon. So maybe do more pets for dungeons. That'd be quite cool. And housing items, I actually do think that would be cool to have like something more than just the trophies in your house. Have something a bit more like, hey, I did this thing, come to my house and you will see it. And
Dungeon
themes. A lot of guild house a thing. Yeah, that'd be cool.
From
like
that dungeon.
Maybe you could get a furniture pack from that dungeon.
Ooh,
so like Scale Caller, you could have like little spider throne things or a bunch of other stuff. Not spindle clutch, but yeah, and all sorts of different stuff. It'd be cool if you got like a little bundle of things, because maybe one furniture item would be a bit, who's going to bother with that? But if it was like a little bundle of dungeon
I don't know.
items,
I think you're right.
Cool.
I actually think you probably one item they probably would. I think you like the oh my good lord.
I
they
would be like, it'd be cool, but having a little package, maybe like 4 different things, like a throne and a table and a plant. That'd be cute.
I like that idea. Extra stuff. I mean, get people who like to do flipping, who like to do housing stuff into dungeons as well. Add more people to the queue. They can play another part of the game, which gets them the stuff. I mean, that actually makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's a chair. Oh god, I can't remember which dungeon it is. It's got skulls on it and stuff. And I mean, I know you can make them. I know you can make some stuff.
Like the Daedric thrones or something?
I can't remember. I think so. It's
I
got
love
skull
the
on
Daedric throne.
the skulls
But
here.
the accidental whoops, it's free one.
Oh, was that was the one where everyone, there was like hundreds of, there was like thousands of these on the train.
Yeah, they flooded the market with them.
Yeah.
It was funny.
And I mean, we got loads of them, but so you can make some stuff. But being able to get that stuff from dungeons, I like that idea. Okay, that's good.
I have one more thing I would like to see in dungeons for incentive
absolutely.
for replayability. They introduced the monster helmets, so the shoulder and the helmet that you can farm once a month. Right. First of all, I would like to see that across the board, regardless of each month. I would like to see them just in the game, full stop. So for every single one. So you can just go and farm whichever one you want at the time and go for it. One more big thing for that, which is on the same kind of level as searching for certain bosses, is that there is a shield that I use on one of my builds, which I won't promote, but it's you
can promote if you want.
A shield. Okay, well, it's almost Immortal Warrior. It's the shield from the quest in Imperial City Prison. Yeah. Now that shield is for a set bonus, but it's actually Lord Warden's shield. It's his. Okay? And when you activate it, when you swap weapons or whatever, it speaks to you. So there is incentive for going for that item. Aside from the set.
Does it?
I would like... Yes.
Does that actually happen?
It speaks.
Kind of want to go
right?
get it
What
now.
does it say? Yeah,
So
I mean, why am I
many
here?
Let's go do this.
In the game.
Cool. I'm
Every
in.
single dungeon, every single boss has their own weapon.
Right.
Why
Yeah.
do they not all have something like that, whether it be a visual effect or a sound or something that makes you want to go for that specific version of the weapon rather than just picking up a trash one off of enemies along the way? Say, for example, the spider cultist stuff, which I used to use on one of my sets as well,
Yeah.
but no longer do.
Mhm.
The boss drops a specific one and a specific trait I wanted, which is
Yeah.
perfect. But you could just pick up a trash one off the ground.
Yeah.
Now, if I was, for argument's sake, using that and I picked up a trash one, I'll do for now. But what about if I want to go for the boss one and farm the hell out of that and swap it over later because it does cool effects? That will give you incentive to deliberately farm that boss to pick up their specific weapon.
Or
So
to
we've
get
got one
that.
weapon that does it. We need the rest to do it.
And or to get the flip side, the motif at least
Yeah.
to maybe put
Yeah.
that effect. So you've got the shield, or maybe you just get the shield and that unlocks something extra where you can have another thing added to your wardrobe where you add the effect or something.
It would be cool to add extra
Yeah,
stuff to it. So
that would
you
be
get
cool.
the boss weapon, and the boss weapon, because it's named, does something a little different.
Because there
Not necessarily
is
stats, but visual or sound or something like that.
a lot of stuff that does that, but not much. I think Alcast's got a video. Have you got a video? Or I don't know. I know Alcast's
No,
got
it's
a video.
in the
of different
video,
things.
but it's specifically about across the board stuff.
Right. Yeah. There's definitely places where you can find out that there was actually more than I thought there were, like different visual effects for different armor pieces and stuff, and monster sets as well. You can Google and probably find that wherever. But yeah, there is a lot of effects because Elder Scrolls isn't really one of those games which has flashy looking stuff. I mean, you go to WoW, you go to Guild Wars 2. There's a lot of flashy stuff which is really off-putting, and it's not just the armor, it's the abilities as well, in all honesty. And all added together, you have possible issues of, I mean, I know people that have attacks like, epilepsy and like, or anything where it's like, these games actually trigger this stuff, whereas ESO actually doesn't whatsoever because it's so calmed and chilled. But it'd be nice to be able to have access to this kind of more flashy stuff as MMO players, because a lot of the time endgame is the fashion. No matter which way you spin it, I mean, I will.
Well, that's essentially what it is.
That.
The biggest reward in the game at the moment is a mount, which is made to look good.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's all about that. Looking good in the game is basically one of the most important things, actually, regardless of your performance.
Because you
got
got
to make
the
your character
shiny
look good.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody wants shiny, man. Everybody wants shiny.
Yeah,
of course they do.
Shinies.
Shiny things.
Indeed. Okay. Right, we're gonna bash on unless anyone wanted to add anything.
No, that was a hell of a long yes or no question, but go ahead.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? I'm liking this. It's a good combination of people.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so dungeons. I'm just gonna skip whatever that was. Dungeons changes, and the future. Again, I'm very conscious that it's almost going to be 2 hours. And if anyone does need to go within the next like 20 minutes or so, that's fine. And let us know. But if people can stay and they want to, I don't mind talking for longer if you want to. This is all up to you
about the
people.
next 10, if possible.
I need to go pick up.
But I don't
my
mind.
kids from
Whichever. See how it goes.
Okay.
Pick up kids for the gold mine.
Get away with cooking and keeping everyone awake.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so we're going to be live for 2 hours and about 10-15 minutes. So I'd say that I am very conscious about this. I want to encroach on these guys' times. But dungeons in terms of, I'm gonna do a big, massive question. Here we go. Okay, not all of that is very important. Have dungeons changed a lot since Tamriel, since launch? Like, and do you think this is kind of a good? Because Xynode, you were talking about it earlier, and I don't know if you want to remind us exactly what happened. So Tamriel basically was a big change. 2016 October? I've written in that document. That is correct, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And that changed the game for the better, right? So this was 3 years ago almost. And what did they do?
To play together.
There you go.
It allowed everyone to play together. They got rid of the whole levels above or below to play with people in a dungeon.
Okay.
They got rid of the whole you're this level, so that's the level of the dungeon, and everyone else can join if they want to. They got rid of all that, and they basically removed, instead of version 1 and version 2 of dungeons and the base ones being normal.
Yeah.
And version 2's being vet. So normal was 1 and base game stuff, and version 2 was vet, and the DLCs was vet as well.
Mm-hmm.
They introduced it so you have 2 choices, normal or vet, on everything.
Yeah.
And they introduced, obviously, because veteran was introduced to a lot of the dungeons that didn't have it, they introduced a hard mode to every single one of them as well, which across the board introduced a lot more monster sets. So there's one for every single dungeon as well. So that did change the game for the better. So you had more content, more harder content based on the stuff that you'd already played, but it's much more difficult now.
Yeah.
The most recent DLCs, I think what they've done with them as far as kind of improvement over time is that they have introduced a lot more mechanics recently. They have made it increasingly difficult, especially from first boss to last. There's a lot more, I said this earlier, breadcrumb trails teaching you the mechanics all the way up to the last one for you to make sure that if you've paid enough attention on the way up to the last boss, you'll know what to do roughly because you've seen the mechanics already.
Yeah.
If you don't pay attention, you're stuffed. So they've given you the opportunity to learn rather than just, here's a quest, we're going to smack some goblins. Oh, look, there's a big druid or dreg thing, and hit it. It's not as simple as that anymore. There is a lot of incentive to learn what it is you're about to approach, basically.
So one Tamriel
Well,
set this up. Do you feel like
pretty
with
much,
DLCs?
yeah, I do think that. Yeah, because they introduced the hard modes for a lot of dungeons that didn't have them, which meant slightly new mechanics, and then that spread into completely different mechanics in upcoming DLCs from then onwards.
So if anyone watching this doesn't realize as well, like 2016, like the Xynode said, it brought into this, it was the one Tamriel, so everyone can play together. So you can venture across the land if you, and this is very unique because a lot of MMOs don't actually have this. They can go from one place, one land to another. If you don't like a zone and you want to quest somewhere else, you can go there, even starting the game in the latest update. So in World of Warcraft, you need to go play through the game. You need to be this level to go and play this content when they extend up to 10 more levels. In Guild Wars 2, it's the same. You know, other games, you have to be end game to go to these new expansions. In the ESO, one Tamriel made it that you can start, and then there's a literal tutorial when you go into the game for each new area, you know, that's been added in recent times. Somerset, Morrowind, and elsewhere as well. And it's, you can immediately feel involved, you can immediately feel populated in an area, and it's, you know, when you get, it's really, really damn good. And it's a very intelligent way of doing it, and I think they were forced to almost do this as well because of how their expansion went, and not expansion, their release went, because, you know, they had to change so much, and this is one thing that ESO and ZOS are good at, and obviously they have their faults, and so, you know, I'm not kissing their ass, but they learned a lot of lessons early on, and I almost feel like that it was so important for them to do.
Yeah.
Because it taught them a lot of lessons. Absolutely not. I mean, you know, they've got the money behind them. They've got everything. You know, if the ESO had failed, like, I don't think it ever would have been closed. I think that's my own personal opinion. I don't think everywhere would have ever shut it down. Because and so that was one thing that was beneficial. You know, they've got the backing to do those changes because they have to. But they made right decisions, right? I mean, they're in a unique position where funding doesn't necessarily matter. And obviously, I don't know the ins and outs of that. I don't know. You know, no one's told me that. It's just assumptions. And it just gave them this opportunity that not many companies have to be able to just completely switch it up.
But the thing is, they've got the money behind them, obviously, as a developer, to be able to make new stuff happen. But a drastic change like one Tamriel was probably quite expensive, considering how much time and effort was put into it. So drastically change it from one type of play MMO to a completely different one, just like that in a short space of time.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Elder Scrolls is so old in its first place and such a respected franchise for the most part, as far as a single player RPG is concerned. When it came to the MMO, it was such a massive, not revolutionary idea, if you like, but it was just not expected for the most part. It was huge to see that game online. Like the first time you ever play Elder Scrolls Online, if you play the previous ones, you're like, oh my god, I'm basically like the Skyrim dude and my friends over there. You've seen MMOs before, but you haven't seen a game like that go into that. And I think there was so much incentive behind it for them to not fail it, that they were willing to do anything to make sure it succeeded. And they did make the right moves. And they're still progressing with that. Sure, there's going to be mistakes along the way, or if not, maybe things that aren't perceived as the right choice as far as the community is concerned, but they are listening to people, whether they change what certain people like or not is not the point. The fact is they are willing to listen, and they are willing to make their franchise a success, and they will put in the money, time, and effort to make sure that it doesn't go down the toilet like some other ones. And that was a huge change. And the fact that they were like, do you know what? We know it's stuffed up. Here's a massive change, whatever it costs. They could have just thrown it away, but they didn't. So I'm glad that they did do that.
It was the waves coming out from Kay there.
Yeah, I was like, it made waves.
Yeah.
It did. Look at the amount of people that were playing, the amount of people that dropped it and when it first came out, and the amount of people that are progressively now improving, like population-wise, over a very short period of time. And it has been ever since then.
Yeah.
Warren
was pretty good. Somerset was quite good. Elsewhere's gone nuts, and it's just gone up and up and up and up and up. They know exactly what they want, apart from the cries on the forums, which is sometimes unnecessary.
Forums are going to always
Dead
be
game
like that.
indeed. Yeah,
Forums are important.
No matter what game it is, people are going to complain.
They can't. They're clever.
Can't
They
please
don't
everyone.
listen. You can't. You
No.
can't. And they don't listen primarily to the forums, and they don't base their opinions off of Reddit. And
Stay off the
they don't go
forum,
to
for the love
Reddit
of
and
God.
and basically change the game around just a subreddit as well, which another game does, but won't say the name. Some people will know that game. They were watching right now.
Anyone assumes that
But there
nothing
you
was ever changed for the better, or based on the community input, then you have to consider that everything on the internet is archived. So just do a little bit of homework, and you'll be proved wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that.
Do Kay and Retired, do you have anything to add about this specifically, like One Tamriel and the addition and how it changed dungeons or anything?
Ladies first.
I just really love that you can play with anyone if you've got a friend that you want to play with. Dungeons specifically, I know Battlegrounds is not the same, but Dungeons, which is what we're talking about, you can play with someone who's just leveled up enough to get into Dungeons, and you can play with them and show them the ropes on your main.
Yeah.
I love that, because then I don't have to switch character, make a new character. I can just run through, show them the ropes. I won't rush through and kill everything. I'll stand back, heal them, and say, do this, this is what you do. Have you got food? And help them out. Whereas on other games, I would get so many alt characters just to play with new people that I would constantly max out my alts. And being able to do that and any faction as well is just, and go to anywhere and meet up before the dungeon and do silly dances. I think it's just brought so much more. I think it really did bring the community together way more than it already was. And ESO fam has always been amazing, but One Tamriel just brought us all ESO fam.
Yeah, ESO
just
fam.
brought us all together.
We need to do
and
One
we're just a
Tamriel
big
fam.
happy family, apart from angry people, but yeah, they don't count as family. They're the angry aunts that are blood related, but you pretend you don't exist. They're like, oh, whatever.
Wow.
And you're like, oh, aunt, get off me.
I used to be a qualified therapist. Here we go.
I have no aunties, by the way.
Sorry?
I have one uncle. I have no aunties. One
There
uncle.
you go then. Now we know why, I guess.
I didn't have a weird auntie. I wanted one.
It's okay, we'll find you
don't
one.
trust me.
There will be someone in the chat.
Someone in chat, be my weird auntie.
There you go. We've got mods who can do that.
As
Can't
far as
retire.
dungeons goes, at One Tamriel, I don't have much to say on One Tamriel. I did come into this game when the game first started, and honestly, I wasn't impressed. And I moved on, and then I came back, and I'm glad I did, because this game has changed tremendously since it was when I first experienced it when it first came out. So for that, Zoss, y'all are doing a great job. Yada yada. Okay, that's it. But as far as dungeons goes, I love the fact that they don't give access to new players to all the dungeons. You earn them as you level up, so you have access to new dungeons as they become available as you level. So that's great. The grouping with your friends, I'm a level 810 max CP. This is champion points for those of you who just got here and are not sure what that is. Google it. You can work with your friend who just started. You can group with your just friends, and everything and how it's leveled up. I'm not quite sure, but you're a level 1 player. You're seeing a level 1 character or a thing. When you kill it, it's going to drop level 1 gear. I'm a level 50 character. I kill something that looks level 50 to me. I kill it. It drops level 50 gear. That's freaking genius. Because there's nothing worse than helping your friends, and there's absolutely nothing in it for you. As far as if okay, that sounded very selfish. Take two.
What do I get?
What's in it for me? But I mean, you want to
Wow,
also.
there's nothing wrong with that as well.
But
You can both get something at the
want
same
something in
time.
it for you. If you're gonna run a dungeon with somebody, you want to say, okay, let's do City of Ash or something. Let's do these things. I'm also looking for this gear. You can't help me because you're under my level, but let's go do this together. I'm getting gear. You're getting gear. That's awesome. But what I've heard as of lately, some complaints is people are complaining that I'm max CP and I'm burning through dungeons and it's pissing them off because they're not having fun. Whereas I want the same experience. I'm level 10, you're level 10. I want to have the same struggle through the thing instead of just being burning through it. Well, we don't have that option. In some games, I guess, isn't it? In some games, they basically block off your skills. If it's a level 10 dungeons, you're going to have level 10 skills. They do that kind of thing.
That's true, actually. If it's normal,
you can't do that. You can't do that.
If you're with someone higher, they're going to be more experienced. They're going to be more powerful than you. That's how the MMOs generally work.
That's how it works.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If you want to run with nothing but level 10 players, because that's what your levels is, then create your own group.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're going to get on the other side of that look for group thing.
It's true.
That's all I got to say.
I think, that's important to remember, actually. Oh yeah, Final Fantasy 14 does do that. That's true. That is true. That's the game I was thinking
about. But since you brought it up, yes, Final Fantasy 14 does that.
Actually, a very good point. And then you have to change your bars, or just leave, or be like, I had this heal from level 2 or something that I had to use, but there's no way I'm using that when I'm level 60 or whatever the level cap is now. I can't remember.
You can't remove knowledge, but it's a skill that had you been level 10, because that's a level 10 dungeon, you wouldn't have known that. So it's kind of like traveling back in time, so to speak.
Yeah, that's weird.
And I get it. And it does make it challenging, because even if you're a max level character, you're still going to have the same skills and the same strategies as that level 10 player.
Yeah.
And so that could make it fun for that person. And if you're a purist and you're like, I only want to run with people my level, then...
And I think that's how they scale it, right? That's their scaling.
Right.
In a
That's
way.
not how or the intentions of One Tamriel, as I understand it. The intention was to get everybody, because this game is not necessarily about the game; it's about the community working together, regardless of your level, or your skill level, or whatever. It is a possibility for everybody to work together. And
exactly, it shouldn't be the only way to play it, though, as well. Which
I can't get angry at that.
No, that's right. Okay, let me see. Good answers all around. Love it. We kind of covered this a bit. Do you guys like the fact that there's no version 2 of the DLC dungeons? That there's no further story edition? I think
they've started making that a thing. I mean, I did speak to Finn about this. Some of the base game ones, the ones that aren't version 1 and 2, there's been a lot of people ask if we can have a version 2 of them. But then the characters' stories have actually started to go over to the new DLCs. And
to the open world and other places rather than just dungeons, right? We had Freya
from Vollenfell. She was in the Wrathstone dungeons. And then you had, you've got Celine, who was obviously in Celine's Web, is now in the newer ones. So they are bringing those characters over to new content. But I think a flat version 2 there, they've gone past that stage. They don't want to just copy and paste an old dungeon anymore and give it new. They are still doing technically kind of a version 2 by continuing the story, but it is something completely new. So it's not just copy and paste.
Yeah. No, that's right. I mean, I do like those version 2s. Again, I'm time wise, I'm very conscious. I'm kind of going quickly.
Yeah.
And if you guys need to go, just let me know in the chat, and I'll kind of start to finish up. But I like the version 2s, but I do like the fact that you could focus on one, and then the story just continued in a different area with where those things change. So in between, I'm just kind of like, I don't really care. Actually, I'm not that bothered. I like the fact that it's evolved, and if you bring them characters with you later on into the later content, I think that's cool because it continues their story.
Yeah,
and
you're familiar with them.
Yeah, and you're familiar with them, and you take them. If they were in an easier dungeon, then now they're in the most difficult content in the game. It's like, okay, they were there, now they're here, and this is cool because my experience with that character and the lore can continue, and it can branch out further because, you know, Celine's web is completely different to all the stuff we're kind of dealing with now. Obviously, there's links, but, you know, she's back, she's over there doing her thing, and that's cool. You know, we like that. We like all the continuation with the characters and then coming into dungeons and things like that as well. Like from Morrowind, like you said, to Q1 DLC with Frostfall and Malatar as well, and, you know, the whole stone tablet and everything else. You know, it is really good how, I mean, I'm not really one for following story that much, but ESO is taking me to a different level, and the dungeons in the game have been a lot of that storytelling for me personally. And I think for many people, maybe, you know, for you guys as well. Kay and Retired, you bothered that there's twos? I mean, I think Retired said he's not really that bothered, but how do you feel?
I honestly don't mind. I just like more content. I'll be up and honest.
Yeah.
I'm not the kind of person who knows the storyline that so-and-so got married to so-and-so and so-and-so got married and killed this guy and that guy. I'm like, what do I got to do? I got to kill it. Let's get my reward. Let's go. I am I'm that kind of guy. There are some storylines that I get into, but as long as it's interesting, it doesn't feel like it's a cut and paste of the previous dungeon. I'm down with that.
Okay. Yeah, I just for a minute there I went into la la.
It's okay, no.
Pretty lights in my computer, but no, I do think it's really cool that you get to see older dungeons with new bosses and different areas that you didn't get to go to before. I think that was one thing that was quite fun because you got to experience the dungeon in a different way, and it was a bit cooler than just getting there, I guess, because the second dungeons are a little bit harder than the older ones, especially Spindle Clutch with the boss that everyone goes to attack and then you don't actually attack that boss. It's the ones that spawn in front of it. He can't take damage. The amount of people that die in that bit, which in Spindle Clutch 1, you don't really die. But in Spindle Clutch 2, you've got that little bit more pizzazz. And
death is pizzazz cool. Now. Case confirmed.
You might see a little bit more interest into that dungeon rather than changing the old one. You leave that for nostalgia and add a second version of it that's a bit harder and you've got new interests, but maybe buff the old ones like we were saying earlier. But it would be cool to see some of the other dungeons, like see the secret areas that you didn't get to see before, or go through portals that you didn't get to go through before.
Yeah.
That would be cool, but I understand why they're doing it this way, because we get completely different new dungeons, which is a lot more fun. But maybe for filler content, it would be cool to every now and then just go, hey, random new second mode of a dungeon. You get to go to new areas and get new bosses. It's kind of recycling, but we would still get the new dungeons, because I really like that they're continuing the story through dungeons, because you get to it's fun when you do follow the story, and I recommend everyone does, because ESO is incredible. Everything is voice acted. Not many games can do that, but every single part of it, apart from letters, which you read yourself, but you can do a funny accent and it's great. You really absorb it, listen to the characters. You'll just be zoomed in there, and it's beautiful. So I'm glad that they're continuing you get a connection with certain characters. Like a certain Khajiiti friend of ours.
Yeah, Matthias does
not
want to kill stuff. But that's it. A different experience of different people. You know, Kay said that, and you know,
you're 100% correct, Kay. You're 100% correct. This game offers so much lore, so much story.
And it's interesting and engaging, and voice acting helps a lot with that.
It's great for people with a short attention span, like me.
Yeah. I'm there.
I'm like, I'm bored of this. Let's do this instead. But there's so many options that you're like,
yes,
ding, 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 ding. Lovely.
There's almost too many options. I'm actually doing a podcast
so much
about
to catch
that
up with when you move from console to PC. I'm playing tomato ketchup, but it's fun. That's the thing. People go, I'm scared to move from console to PC. Don't be. It's actually a lot more fun than you think it is.
Or even the other way around as well, you know, PC to console. If you just want to chill and sit on your sofa, you know, you can do that.
Although going from keyboard to mouse to back to
hey, I'm thinking about it. You know, the Google thing's coming out, the Stadia. Stadia.
True, yeah.
That's good. ESO is going to be on the Stadia. You saw that announcement. You can be able to sit, be able to play on a flipping phone. You can play ESO if you got Google Pixel or whatever. You can go play it on there.
Play on another platform.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do, because you do that, don't you? You play on all the platforms. You better invest in that.
Toilet.
You better invest in it.
It's on the toilet, yeah. Why
it's
not?
a pre-order, mate. It's $150.
Doing your pups.
Yeah, exactly. You can. You don't even need to keep your PC in there anymore, mate. Not that you do now.
Do a dungeon while on the toilet. Can I finish this before I'm done?
I mean, I don't know if you can do that. I'm just saying, maybe it's possible.
It would be a challenge you've never been able to try before, though.
Yeah, exactly. This is a true statement. Yeah, is it still? It is. Yeah, 129, and then taxes and delivery and everything. It's 150. We raised that, so we are going to actually play the Stadia ESO on stream. This is something I'm actually going to do. And just see how many people play in and log in. So if anyone wants to do it with me, then you're welcome to join. So I know let's all do it. Let's all jump on that thing. Let's go and do it. I'm gonna set up a camera in my
ESO in the most obscure place.
Yeah. Oh, we could do that as well. Yeah. I need to get Google Pixel.
Just put a camera on your little thing. Is it a handhold thing? What is this? What is this thing?
Well, so maybe I can explain it later probably. But basically, you can just play on your TV. It's a controller and it connects to your wireless network like Chromecast and everything else. You access the web and you play it from a remote location. Where this game is being beamed to you, and you make the inputs, and it gets sent to the data center, and it's a lot more intricate than that, but that's the basics of it.
Okay.
So it's all obviously you can need good internet connection, you can need all these things. But anyway, that is another conversation. Sorry. Otherwise, I'm gonna keep these guys here forever. Right. So quickly, but yeah, it is very interesting. Google it, as you say. Google it. I think we're good with that bit of questioning. Okay. I just wanted to add a quick question that was quite interesting. An idea that I had. Could you do LFG systems for things like achievement hunting, for unlocking skins, the dyes, etc.? So add another queue. I know adding queues is difficult, because it then separates community, but I don't know if that was anything that you guys thought would be quite cool.
Kind of what the local chat is for.
Yeah.
I think the group fund is, if I'm being honest, quite broken at the moment anyway. They do need to implement some form of system to make it a little less breakable in terms of roles, which we already went over earlier, and obviously performance. So I think introducing something like that may offer a crap load more complications, and we may be too far away from a proper working group finder if we end up introducing stuff like that. So I think
it would be cool.
I think it would be cool if you could, but I think it's not ready for it.
Yeah, no.
That's a good point. Yeah,
a bit broken. Yeah. So if we were at a stage of where the queue actually worked properly, and we had an Undaunted Dungeon event, oops, I just
then different story.
Then I'm sorry that I'm messing everything up in the world right now. I just changed the Discord. I just moved it so I could see something, and apparently that happened. It's broken now. No, it's fixed now. Sorry. It's broken. I just went off the complete topic. Wow. Sorry about that. I just completely went.
Some stuff in Group Finder.
Yes,
it would definitely help new players a lot, but like you said, it would probably break it, and then new players wouldn't even be able to get in. But it would be nice for new players to run with people that are the same level as them and actually starting out. And then achievement hunters could just achievement hunt, or people that are farming could just speed run and not bother anyone. But yeah, I think it would probably break it. And then you'd have less. It'd be even harder to run as certain roles, because you've got even more slimlined than what you already had.
Yeah.
So, but it would be awesome. But maybe people need to use zone chat for what it's actually made for.
Exactly. Like if you remove
trolling each other.
Yeah.
Or maybe have special chats. So you know how WoW has trade chat and then different versions of that chat. Maybe have a LFG zone chat that's just for LFG, rather than people spamming it with rubbish.
It's difficult.
We know what zone chat's like. I don't need to do examples.
I have a question to kind of caveat on what you said earlier. You were talking about the looking for group thing would be broken. A lot like other games do. They've got like when you're doing your raids, you say, "Hey, we're doing a speed run, no death, whatever.
Yeah.
Looking for healer, tank, whatever." And then as everybody joins that group on that little sheet, when you're done, you push go. The leader pushes go, and you're saying something like that would be too many moving parts. Is that what you're saying? Are you guys know what I'm talking about? First of all, okay,
Yeah, where you
yes.
put your tick boxes
wow,
for the roles that are
has it,
there.
like they're giving
Yeah.
raid finders.
Yeah.
We do have it, except we don't actually control the tick boxes. Each individual player does, but it's
You can't
just
implement
something that,
anything
although
either.
it would be cool, I mean, they could implement it, but again, it's something that I think it's not something that wouldn't be nice in game. It's something that I think the group finder itself, due to its broken
Wonkiness.
parts at the moment, isn't ready for. So
Ready for
I think
it?
where other games have it because they've had that feature for such a long period of time, whereas for us, although we have had it for a bit, Group Finder is still relatively new to the game overall in its current state. So I think they still need to iron out some kinks
Yeah.
before they start adding new stuff to it.
I'd
Like to see stuff like that, but I don't think it's ready to do it just yet.
So if the systems, I guess, if we think about this in another world rather than the issues that are there, so if everything worked, LFG,
If
I know, I
everything
mean,
works, sure.
yeah. So I guess that's kind of the question I'm asking, really, is if in a perfect world because LFG most of the time works for me personally, but there are issues with like you getting put into a queue and then you kind of ready to get into the dungeon and then it doesn't put you in there and then you start again, and obviously there's the Undaunted events where there's loads of people trying to do it and the system's overloaded, it's a bit blocked, but like
Yeah, a lot of that is role based, isn't it? Everyone queuing up as a DPS.
yeah,
Which again, if they had a system in play that would be able to pull through who is which role and when, just like they do with some bosses, because some boss mechanics inside dungeons are select to certain roles because they can see what's on their bar or what they're using or what their stats are or whatever. They've got stuff in place to decide who is the tank and who isn't for certain mechanics. They could implement that within the group finder tool as a whole. I mean, it would be very difficult to do, but if they did something like that, so in the background it knew who was what, that would make the queues a lot faster because it would pull through who they need rather than loads of DPS just sitting there doing nothing.
Right. But also, it's like you can say, I'm setting up a dungeon level 10 to 20, 40 to 50. So that way people say, hey, I want
Oh,
to
yeah,
join your group.
definitely.
And you accept,
Yeah.
hey, you're level 20 tank. I need you. And you click them. They join your group.
No, I see what you mean. So you got a
have
list.
choice to choose who is pinging your group.
That would be good in
There's a
one
lot of
respect
moving
because
parts
you
there.
could. Yeah, there are. That would be good in one respect because you'd be able to select people that you're looking for. So your level
Right.
range, your roles that you require, and all the rest of it. But also at the same time, that could pigeonhole people into saying, you know what, don't like him, I'm not putting him in the group, or I don't think you're going to be good enough, so I'll just ignore them. That would make it a little bit too select to delete the kind of random side to it. And some people may never actually get in groups just because perhaps someone doesn't like your username. So they've got excuses. I know you got a kick button anyway, but everyone has to agree to that. When it comes to the dungeon finder, you have to consider sometimes that people are people, and you won't always necessarily get to work as you wanted to.
People
We already
are
have too many
people.
problems with people just
There's two
leaving
sides.
dungeons.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's two sides to it. There's
Everyone's less
the
than
convenient
160.
side.
Leave.
Yeah, there's a convenient side to it,
People
which
are
will be
bots.
awesome, and then there's the other side to it, which you have to try and defeat before it happens.
I want people
So-
that leave dungeons and go offline so they get kicked and so they don't get the debuff for like 15 minutes
Oh.
have
yeah.
some kind of issue or something done
They
to
just
them.
rage quit.
I think it covers
quick.
quality of life stuff that I do
It's
agree could be looked at. So I think
Yeah.
you're right in one respect, Retired, that we do
It's
need
just-
something like that implemented. But how they go about it to make it, I don't want to use the word balance, but they have to carefully implement something like that to make sure it works as intended. Yeah.
Just work. Okay, right. We're gonna start to wind down now.
Okay.
But kind of the final question, which I'm going to give you guys in two parts, very quickly. We will try not to go too long-winded into this answer. Is there anything that you can think of? If you can think of one thing that would improve the dungeon system, it can be something you've mentioned previously as well. And in that question as well, just answer is the amount of dungeons we're getting per year right now as of this year scale wise. 4 dungeons, 2 in Q1, 2 in Q3. Is that good? And starting Retired. Go for it. So 2 questions. Is there one thing that you can think of that would improve the current dungeon system? It could be a mechanic, it could be a feature, it could be a system, it could be whatever. And then are you happy with the current release schedule of dungeons?
Mike's dead.
Oh, we can't hear you.
I'll hit it really briefly.
There you go.
I muted my mic so I could type.
Uh-huh.
I'll do it very briefly. We hit about it earlier, making a different, more difficult setting like KayPOW and I talked about. That would help make things a little more difficult. And I had to, but I was focusing so much on the first one, and you screwed me up with the mic thing. God damn it.
Yeah. I mean, we can let you talk for a while if you want, just like this.
Nope.
I mean,
definitely
okay.
implement something a little bit more difficult. And I think that some sort of, like we were just mentioning about, a system where people who did want to group with level 10s or level 20s could do that. That would help. And is it enough dungeons? Yes, I think it is, because by the time the new dungeons come out, you've already somewhat mastered the other ones, and you put them on, hopefully, on farm mode, so you can do them for your Undaunted. And I love telling people, hey man, we're constantly, every 3 months, we're pumping out new content, new stories, new stuff, and not a lot of games do that. ESO does that well. So yes, I love the dungeons, and they need to do those 2 things that I think would help.
Wicked.
And done.
Wicked. Xynode?
I kind of agree with some of what Retire said, where the group fund having a level kind of specific, so you can stay with people of your level if you really want to. So basically something like Cyrodiil, where you have a 1 to 50 cap, and then just everything. So then there's people below CPs, or there's people who are CPs. So that could maybe help for newer players to not be so intimidated by people that are higher than them if they want that. Because I know a lot of people just want to have someone carry them through, just blitz the hell out of them, like, yes, I got my skill points, perfect. Other people, as you've said already, it is a community-wide thing where people do want to feel like they're putting in the effort rather than just getting carried straight through. So a 1 to 50 tick, and then the rest is just random and everyone can go in everything. Sure, why not? In terms of release, I think they've got enough per year. We're getting currently 1 trial, 4 dungeons a year, which is absolutely fine, because some of the dungeons, especially the newer ones, are really, really difficult. Some of the old ones, even back as far as Shadows of the Hiss, so we're talking, what the hell is it called? Mazatan and Creative Shadows.
Yeah.
Some people are still farming those now to get the achievements done, and they were out ages ago. So I don't think we're getting the content too fast, and I don't think we're getting it too slow either. I think it's in a good place.
Sweet ass. Nailed it. Okay, Kay.
Everyone already said what I was going to say. I just, I think I think the hard mode through everything would be brilliant, rather than just the end boss. I think that would be really fun. Bring a whole new light to the old dungeons. I also think the point I made earlier about maybe having different zone chats would be quite a nice idea. So you've got like the guild finder zone chat, and then you've got the looking for group zone chat, but maybe like looking for group dungeons, looking for group trials. So you're getting rid of all the rubbish. Yeah. And then you'll if you want to look for dungeons, you look at that zone chat. That would be awesome. And it was something that WoW did, and it actually worked, because trade chat would be trade chat, and then you'd have all different chats. And yeah, you get the odd idiot, but you'd have mods online that would just delete those or get rid of them or something, and it would just happen less, I feel like. And you could switch that channel, so if you've got zone chat on, you could filter it by what you was actually looking for, rather than just having like puke everywhere, just rubbish spewing everywhere. Because even I was like, beta screenshots, zone chat even back then was like just give me more options. And as for content, I agree. I think we're getting enough that we can keep up with it and have fun, but not so much that new players will feel completely overwhelmed because they've got to catch up with this and whatever and this and that and that. I feel like it's enough that you can catch up, but you've also got that extra excitement to go, oh, I need to keep doing these. I mean, there's dungeons that I've still not done on Vet because I'm like, oh, new content. And then I go back and do them, and it gives me something fun to do, because I've switched console to PC, and basically.
Oh, that's interesting that you've done that. There's so many people that have come onto the show that's been the case. They've actually switched completely.
Add-ons are life-changing.
Yeah, They really are.
It's life changing.
Have one of
Lazy
those.
Rit. There's a sign there. I don't know if you can read it. Probably too small, but it says "Do your Rits." It's on my
Inklings are
TV.
lucky.
So many people
Inklings are
comment on it. They're like, "Do your Rits, ha!" I'm like, yeah. Lazy Rit.
Do your Ritz.
A Xynode's add-on.
I do have one.
Will hunt you down.
That's so good. Dungeon stream. You should mention the dungeon add-on.
It's called All
Add-ons
About
are a
Mechanics.
crutch. Don't be
It's on
jealous because you
Minion.
don't have them.
It's amazing.
Add-ons are a crutch. Oh God, don't start Psycho.
Well,
Jesus.
consider me handicapped because I got 2 of them.
I mean, it all depends what you want to get out of the experience. We're all different people. We all just enjoy different things, and add-ons can help, and especially a newer player. And if that makes someone become better at the game to the point where they don't want to use add-ons later on, then all be it. You know, we're all different people.
Use Deadly Boss mod on WoW. Seriously, everybody use Deadly Boss mod. Don't come at me saying add-ons are crutches.
I mean, to a
Sick
degree, I don't like to have add-ons that tell me what to do, what buttons to press in the game. I will admit that. That is something
That's a
that
quick
I
time event.
do not like to have personally, but there is a place and a time and for people where that is useful.
True.
And the option is good to have for people. Personally, I'm not interested. I want to learn
Some
the
people have
mechanics.
the add-on, but their brain doesn't do what the add-on says. You've still got to have the ability to do what the addon says. So many people would just be like, "Duh."
Absolutely, because it just tells you the thing. You still have to do the thing. You still have to do it. And there are raid leaders, and I do this as well, who will just be that mod
Standing.
anyway. Will be that add-on, and will say, you know, dodge, do this. So technically, you've almost got an add-on. It's just a raid leader. It's just someone that's not saying it sometimes.
Right.
So it's all different horses for different courses, really, at the end of the day. And that's why we live in the wonderful world we live in, where you have choice, people. You have choice. And it's good to have options. And definitely options are good. Okay, but that's going to be it. Yes, indeed. That's true, Epic. I do use other people to gain things in ESO. Yeah, like loot and armor. And
You should.
you should. I'm a flipping live. We've got a guild, a community, and a streamer. I mean, what do I need to play the game for? I mean,
Community.
Jesus. That's a joke.
Use your position as a streamer to get other people to carry you through trials while you're live and get loot.
There you go. That's fine. Who doesn't do that? No, I mean, hello.
Hashtag streamer luck.
Yeah,
I know
and
what we
streamer
can
luck.
pretend.
Yeah, we can pretend. Okay, otherwise that's gonna be it. That's gonna be the end of the podcast. There is more stuff we could have talked about, and again, you know, it just comes down to the fact that there is a lot to talk about in ESO. It's a very alive game. It's got a lot going on in it. I guess that kind of works as well. And that's pretty much it. I mean, otherwise, if there's anything else you guys want to add quickly about dungeons, then feel free to go for it. Otherwise, we're pretty much going to end the show and do a little bit of an outro now. Anything you guys wanted to add quick? Fine.
Thank you for having me.
Be
Everybody-
For
friendly.
having me. Had a good time. Nice to see you, KayPOW and Xynode, and the bald beauty that you are, Jebro.
Thank you, my
Thank you
man.
for having me, guys.
Appreciate that. It is a very good
tank
group.
if you're not one.
Sorry?
Don't queue as a tank if you're not one. That's it.
There you
Know
go.
your role.
And here,
Yeah,
know
know
your,
your
role. Indeed. Yeah. You just
Be aware of new people. Be friendly to new people. They need
Okay, it
help.
wasn't like a
Poo.
warning when you said it. Be aware of new
Be
people.
aware.
Yeah, bad.
Beware of new people.
Beware of new people.
Oh, good lord, he's got one as well.
Yes, sir, I do.
Amazing. Good stuff.
Look after our little bubby friends
Yeah, exactly.
Nurture
Yeah,
them
the new
and let them
peeps.
grow into big, happy ESO fams.
To be-
Little furry friends, we love to be parried and capital doll, yes.
Yes.
Okay, before we spiral out of absolute like normalcy here, I don't know if we ever started on that point. I'm gonna go through people. Retired, where can we find you? Where are you? What do you do? What times?
What do I do? Absolutely nothing. No, you can find me on twitch.tv// I'm computer illiterate. Anyway, /retired8404. I stream as of lately Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, starting at noon until whenever I get off. And I also stream
Noon
again
EST?
on Saturday night. What?
Eastern America?
Eastern time, yeah, Eastern time. And then I stream Vet Dungeons at night on Saturday at 2200, which is 10 p.m. for those of you who don't have any idea how to use 24-hour time. We do those with Jimmy, JJ, Shabadoo, Ninja, Inklings, and those guys. Vet, Sunspire. And welcome to come check me out. Twitch.tv/retired8404. Look forward to seeing you there.
Cool. Xynode?
Where do I start? Twitter, first of all,
And that's up to
/Xynode. Facebook, /Xynode Gaming. There's a website, xynodegaming.com. YouTube is /Xynode Gaming. And on Twitch, it's just /Xynode. And I stream every night from 10 p.m. UK time, unless I say otherwise on Twitter. And of course, there's a Patreon service as well, which is /Xynode again. I think that pretty much covers all of it. Apart from the add-on, by the way, look up on Minion. All about mechanics. It's on the website, it's on the YouTube channel, and it's on Minion as well.
Sweet as. And KayPOW.
Stuff.
There is a lot of stuff. I'm going to add some of the stuff. I'm assuming most of the stuff you can get through to via people's Twitch channels, I would say. Have a look at their panels below.
Retired, use your thing. What do you normally say to people if they need to look stuff up?
Google it.
There you go.
Google.
And KayPOW, where can we find you? What do you do? And what times of the day?
Hi, I've been KayPOWXD. I've been here doing this thing. You can find me on Twitch. I stream every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday at 12 p.m. BST because I'm British and it's late here. So we'll go to bed after this, after eating dinner. Long story, but Twitter, Instagram, whatever. If you want to search if I'm on something, just search KayPOWXD. It's always KayPOWXD.
That sounded so random.
Don't have your headphones on 100%. I've not been shouting on here because that's polite, but I'm extremely loud. I'm always positive. I don't swear. My guild's called the Insanity Party. We play on EU. So if there's any EU bubbies out there, come say hello. Play dancing on the game. ESO stream team. Everybody here is ESO stream team. It's a good place to be. If I don't play ESO, I'm playing Bethesda games. I drink a lot of tea.
There you go. Perfect answer. Okay, then. That's going to be it, guys. Otherwise, I'm Jebro. I've hosted this podcast as well. This has been the 12th episode. It's been on Dungeons with KayPOWXD, retired 8404, and Xynode. Please make sure that you take the time in the description, whether this is in YouTube, Twitch, or Spotify, iTunes, and the plethora of different places that we are on at the moment. Make sure you check out all the stuff. Twitch, go and watch them. There's no excuse not to. They have all individually have great communities. I've got to check out these guys a little bit more individually myself, but I can say they are very good people. I wouldn't have them on the podcast if not, and they are very talented creators individually as well. And just quickly about myself, I do host this show. I am a streamer of all the things, which is what I like to say. I don't like to call myself right or anything else. I don't like to pigeonhole myself. I am me. There is only one Jebro. So if you want to come and join me on my channels, twitch.tv/JebroUnity, we have a very inclusive community like many of these guys. And I'm sure you will be very happy wherever you go, wherever you land in terms of the content you watch. But make sure that you check out these guys, please. Cannot sell them enough. But otherwise, do all the things. Thank you very much for watching and listening wherever you are to the new companions. And we will see you in about 2 weeks. Thank you very much for watching this Dungeon podcast. Goodbye. Wherever you're listening and watching.
Peace.
Bye, Felicia.